Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Prescott trying to take advantage, going deep. Cooper! Oh, one-hander! Are you kidding me?
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Nice little dive to the rim. Oh, wow, Chachua.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Over the middle. He's got a man in stride. And walking into the end zone is Josh Fleeks with the touchdown.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go on this Tuesday on the eve of Big 12 Media Days at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. A lot to get to today, including what is wrong with Team USA, if anything. Also, the Home Run Derby last night. Your thoughts and also a couple of comments about Big 12 football as well. Paul Catalina, David Smoak, SicEm365 Radio, Craig Smoak as well. Earlier today, they recorded Bearcast. It will be released later on today on SicEm365.com and also with all the other outlets we have. All right, now, if there's one team among those who are getting not much at all love, one team in the Big 12 in football, it's not Oklahoma. It's not, obviously, Iowa State. We know where they stand. And then we always know that there's going to be Oklahoma State and Texas have to be pretty good too, plus sometimes they are. Who is among, let's say, the second tier, the second maybe 5 or 6 teams in the Big 12, based on that preseason poll released by the media, that might surprise some people and might be what Baylor was a couple of years ago?
So the second tier.
All right, that includes Kansas State, Kansas, West Virginia, Baylor, Texas Tech, and I think that's about it, those 5. Those are the 5. Could any of those 5 teams perhaps upset the apple cart?
I wonder about West Virginia because they appeared to me making a little bit of strides last year, but what was that really? Was that really something, or was that just – I mean, the COVID year is so hard to grade for anybody.
Isn't there a lot, Craig, with West Virginia and Oklahoma State? Are they sometimes the same team that seems like they kind of flirt with it? Oklahoma State has a couple of times when they've done well, but they just don't seem to sometimes get to that next level or sustain it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're similar in that way. Oklahoma State's been far more consistent. As far as your question goes, West Virginia could be a team that jumps up and beats some people. I don't think people really have a good grasp on exactly who they are. The quarterback spot's going to be a big question mark for them. Austin Kendall left, and it's kind of been topsy-turvy there. That's been part of their problem. But, West Virginia's certainly a team that could jump up. Kansas is not. They're going to stink. K-State's a team that could jump up and be pretty good. I mean, before, Skylar Thompson got hurt, they were, 4-1? They were a good team until losing their starting quarterback. So that had a major effect. You got another year of climbing. So I think K-State could be potentially sneaky good, especially with a guy like Deuce Vaughn coming back. So K-State's won. West Virginia's won. Baylor has certainly won. I mean, shoot, you've been picked 8th in the conference, so I definitely think they're better than the 8th best team in the conference, and I think they should be a bowl team, and there's no real reason why they shouldn't be. So, they could finish 8th and still be a bowl team, but I think they're going to finish a little bit higher than that. So I think, those 3 teams in particular could all be better than they're being ranked right now.
Your feedback by text or by phone, 254-339-1122. Who among those who are not in that top tier, which includes Oklahoma, Iowa State, that's the top tier. And then there's kind of Oklahoma State, TCU, and perhaps Texas. Who among the others, if there are any, is anybody, would be a team that could make a run and be a part of the conversation sometime at the end of November? 254-339-1122. And here's another thing. Would a non-bowl season be acceptable for Baylor football?
I don't think so.
Depends on why they didn't go to a bowl game. Did they not go to a bowl game because somebody got hurt that was highly important? Did they not go to a bowl game because COVID outbreak? Did they not, go to a bowl game because of just some other thing that occurred? Somebody else just happened to be way better than we expected. There's things that can happen that are really just out of your control, but as far as in their control, if they don't make a bowl game, no, that's a massive disappointment. I mean, we're talking 6 wins, and I know that last year was just 2. They also played 3 less games, so you would have thought that they'd probably win about 4 or 5 last year if they played their non-conference schedule, right? So, asking for really 1 to 2 more wins when you've had now a full year of all the things that we talked about at length last year of not having, you've had all that now. You've addressed your holes with the transfer portal. Like, if you don't have a team ready to go out and win a bowl game right now, then, I think that would be a massive disappointment. So if you don't make it, I think the only reason should be that, there was a rash of injuries to, like, star player after star player. A COVID outbreak made you, lose some guys for a couple of games perhaps, along those lines. But as far as just execution, I don't see any reason why they should not win 6 games.
All right, and I agree with that. I was on Big 12 Radio Network earlier today with Ari and also Dave Archer, the former Iowa State quarterback, and they asked me about that lower level to the ceiling, and I think that clump is 5 to 7, 5 to 8 maybe at the most. I think 8's the highest ceiling I can see. I know that if you're a real positive, over-aggressive, and maybe just real confident that you feel like, well, wait a minute. I feel like this is more like 2018's team in coming off especially the disaster of 1-11 or last year at 2-7. 5 to me would be, man, if you win 5, that's still a disappointment. To me, anything over 6 or 7 would be gravy, would be icing, would be whatever you want to talk about on top of whatever it is.
Well, I remember when I was on the Big 12 radio, and they didn't say anything about my response. They asked how many games I thought Baylor was going to win, and I said 7, I think, and then it was just like silence.
That's the same thing that happened to me today. Yeah.
And, I don't know what is hard to grasp here. I don't know why people outside of Waco are having a hard time grasping why Baylor might be pretty good. Oh, I don't know, because Terrell Bernard's healthy, and they had a pretty good defense last year, and pretty much every single player – literally every single player is back from that defense, and a year under Aranda and spring ball with Aranda. So defensively, they should be way better. They're also loaded with upperclassmen in the secondary, at linebacker, and up front, not so much. That's a question mark, but everybody has a question mark. So their question mark on defense is, can they be good enough up front? That's literally it. That's their only question on defense. Offensively, I understand why people are a little hesitant because of what they saw last year. But Larry Fedora's not here anymore. They have completely changed over everything. Charlie Brewer's not here anymore. It's not going to be a repeat of the exact same offense that we saw last year that basically walked out there, ran 3 plays that gained 4 yards, and then walked back and let the defense play for 70 minutes. So I don't know. I think people are a little slow on the come up with Baylor, and I get not buying in and not thinking – I can totally see the argument against them being a bowl team and thinking that that's ridiculous. But I just think that people are sleeping on them a little bit.
Well, the offense last year had an absolute failing grade.
Across the board. Failing grade. I agree.
So the defense, though, if you were going to give them a report card, special teams was average. The defense was good and above average. So they had a B-plus defense to maybe an A- at times last year. And then if you throw in – an F- minus offense that they had. So if you take the F- and get it to a C-, this is a team that's going to win more games. Well, so it's not like you're trying to ask them to go from what they are now to 2014. That's not what you're asking. You're asking this team to get to a bowl game and win some of the games. Again, Iowa State, West Virginia, TCU, and Texas could have been wins, save not for one terrible quarter in all of them. So if you can take out one terrible quarter and take that terrible to just, then you're probably going to win more games. And so it's not outside the realm of the possibility for 7 wins.
Here's the thing, too. They also changed strength and conditioning, and they were not the most physical team last year. They looked like a team that was, looked like they had come out of COVID protocol half the time. They did not look nearly like the team that was just physically nasty the year prior with Matt Rule and company, that they had built that up. And we know that the groundwork was laid in strength and conditioning for what Matt Rule and them did, because then they went out and they just physically whipped people. And There was not a bunch of physically whipping guys out there for Baylor last year. It was the reverse. And another thing would be, so that's going to be better. That's going to automatically be better because it means all the reviews that we've gotten and everything like that. So they're going to be a tougher team. They're going to be a stronger team. They're going to be a faster team. They're going to be a more mature team. They also know their head coach now, actually know their coaching staff and have been around them in close proximity. That was something that was missing last year when there wasn't a lot of other coaching changeover in the Big 12. And let's also add in that the defense was good, but it wasn't great. Like, it wasn't by any means like dominating or along those lines. It was really good. It kept them in games, but it was not like still good enough to win them games, right? The defense should be better. The defense should so across the board, there's nothing that should be any worse than it was last year. Not a single thing should be any worse. Every single thing on this football team should be at least a little bit to a lot better. And how that doesn't translate, I don't know, because it makes perfect sense to me that they're going to be a better team.
You know, it doesn't always mean you're going to be better. That you can actually be just as bad. It's like when you hear about the Cowboys defense, you know, they have to be better. Well, not necessarily. No. But the Baylor offense, to me, has to be. It's just because of, like, that's what God created the earth to be. We have to be better. You know, that it's like that has to happen. Well, and if it doesn't, then I don't even know what to say.
I would think they would be better just on the simple fact that they never once, and this cannot be overstated. I don't think they ever once last year had every single offensive lineman available. I mean, and that's not just saying. I'm not saying that those guys are all good, but they're better than they were able to play last year.
Right.
And they had, as has been well documented, Baylor football had more COVID problems than maybe anybody in the Big 12, and it started with the offensive line, which was their weakest position to go in with. And look, we've heard Craig talk about, you don't know, COVID affects everybody kind of differently. Some people get, Armstrong couldn't taste anything for a couple of weeks. And, Craig had massive fatigue for time after that. Well, if your offensive linemen, say 4 of the best ones are still dealing with fatigue down the line, I don't think fatigue is a good thing to go into a game with, even if you're not spitting out COVID positives anymore. You're still fatigued. So if those things aren't going to happen, again, we're not trying to get them to be the valedictorian of the offensive class. We're just trying to get them to pass.
Yeah, no, just be able to be respectable, move the ball a little bit. And you look back, and Dave Archer brought this up today on the segment I was with he and Ari. Baylor averaged like 160-plus yards rushing in 2019. They didn't get to 100 yards a game last year. There was a game or two, but I'm talking about on average. Over 9 games, they did not average over 90-plus yards per game. That's 70 yards for them. Can you imagine a couple of games if they would have just had a couple of games with 65 or 70 more yards rushing? Because they couldn't run the ball. And then on top of that, they also couldn't protect and they couldn't throw the ball deep. They didn't have any way to spread the defense. It was just a nightmare across the board. So my other question is this. Of the 4 transfers that appear to be starters or should be or most likely will be, Jacob Gall, right now, probably penciled in as a center, depending on everything else, could be a guard, Buffalo. Drew Estrada from Dartmouth, the inside slot receiver. Maybe also, who knows, maybe a part of the kick return game or punt return game, along with, of course, Ebner's got that job. Grant Miller, Vanderbilt, offensive lineman. And Siaka Ika, Apu, the defensive lineman, nose tackle from LSU. Which of those 4?
Miller was here last year, though.
Was he?
Wasn't he?
No.
He wasn't here last year?
No, because we had him on Skype here in the studio.
Yeah, he made the decision on our show.
Okay.
Yeah. He was in Florida at the time. Yeah. So those are 4 who appear to be possible or will start. Which of those 4, and I know who might be the most popular pick, but which of those 4 might have the biggest, most positive impact on this year's team?
Jacob Gall. Like, I know Apu Ika, everybody's excited about him, and he might have a heck of an impact. But if Jacob Gall can stabilize the middle of the offensive line, and that was something that, it wasn't necessarily the tackles just getting blown by last year. It didn't matter who was rushing the passer. If they were lined up over the center, the guards, or the tackle, they were getting back to Charlie Brewer. I mean, they were just going to be back there every time. And if they can slow that down, that's going to be an immeasurably important thing. So, yeah, I would think it'd be Jacob Gall.
Yeah, probably Jacob Gall, and yeah, I was thinking of somebody else, not Graham Miller, because he did get here after the semester. But yeah,
last year was a kid from UCLA.
Yeah, Jake Burden.
Yeah,
yeah, I'd say Jacob Gall. I mean, I will say the one thing, if you want to point out why they're not going to win 6 games or whatever, if the O-line is anywhere near what it was last year, I don't care who the quarterback is.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to talk about Jacob Zeno's 2 completions against Oklahoma, and what did he do the rest of that time? He ran around for his life. He panicked. He had no idea what to do because he was getting guys running at him from all sides, just like Charlie had every single Saturday for 4 years. So if that's still going to be the case, where it's just the ball's hiked and everybody just runs to the quarterback, then yeah, no, that will throw a wrench in some things. So, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Eric Mateos is going to do a good job of getting these guys at the best level that they can possibly be. I think he seems to be pretty no-nonsense, and I don't think he's going to accept the performance that we saw last year. I think if those guys roll out there and they perform the way they did last year, then we're going to see a lot of true freshman offensive linemen out there, and I'd be all for it because no one on this O-line who's been here for 4 years has any excuse to not be executing their job at this point. Coaching changes, I don't care. Like, you've learned enough from enough people to be able to execute your job if you're a senior at this point. And if you can't do it, then get out of the way and put a young guy in there because it can't get any worse.
Here's their job. You see that guy over there? Don't let him hit the quarterback.
Yeah. All right, a couple of baseball draft notes, locally baseball drafts. Luke Boyd, right-handed pitcher from Baylor, drafted by the Padres today. In this, the last day of the draft, 17th round. And also MCC with the second player, Riggs Threadgill, right-handed pitcher in the 19th round of the Nationals. By the way, do you see this note? The Rangers drafted, Will Taylor. He's a highly recruited player at Clemson. They drafted him in the 19th round today. And then this note from the Angels. The Angels select only pitchers with the 20 picks they had in the draft. You think they know where their weakness is?
Oh, yeah.
20 picks, all of them were pitchers. Every one of them were pitchers. And then obviously now how many of them actually get to the next level, who knows?
Their best pitcher and the only one that's any good right now just happens to be the most freakish talent that we've seen in baseball in 40 years.
And speaking of that, all right, you're right. Shohei Ohtani, last night I watched. I have not watched the Home Run Derby in forever. I was interested. Gallo kind of flamed out a little bit, although he made a run at the end. In the end, you knew Soto was going to have a big game, but that's just a big moment for him. But here we are with Pete Alonso. And he has this compact swing. He doesn't look like he's going to be a guy that's going to hit a bunch of bombs. Yes. And he won it again. To me, it's still taking way too long. I know there's nothing else maybe going on Monday night. That's why it's there. But to me, it's just something that I think you get bored with it and walk away.
Well, I think maybe the 3 minutes in the first round is a little bit too long. Just do 2 minutes every time.
I think the bonus, why give bonus time? Because you hit a guy, you have a home run 500 feet or whatever it is, or you might hit like some sign with a clown's face on it. I don't know. I just think that it's overkill. Let them go. And I thought the drama with Soto and Ohtani, though, was pretty darn good, that they had to go to a swing off.
That was fun. Soto just put all 3 of them out of the park, which meant he put Ohtani behind it. I will say this about Joey Gallo. I think Tony Beasley was kind of grooving him a couple sliders, and everybody else was getting, kind of hanging curveballs to hit.
Yeah.
And Tony Beasley this early on looks like he was trying to fool him.
And I'm telling you, that's you wear yourself out swinging as hard as you can.
And Ohtani, I didn't realize this about him. I didn't know he doesn't take batting practice regularly because he pitches.
Well, yeah,
it didn't occur to me that maybe this guy's just that good of a hitter. He doesn't have to take BP like everyone else does.
So Craig, did you watch any of it?
Yeah, I watched. It was what it was. It's not a big deal. It was too long for sure. It was cool seeing, Alonso and everybody do their thing, but it was a home run derby. It's not like, major takeaways or, anything like that. There wasn't an all-timer moment for me. I don't think that, years from now I'm going to be going remember when
Josh Hamilton?
Yeah, exactly.
Or Griffey.
There wasn't one of those for me. So, it was just an event that was on that did definitely go far too long for its purpose.
All right, it's exhibition. We discussed this yesterday about Nigeria with Epe Udo on that team beating the United States. And then last night they go out and they lose again. And now there's this full-blown, my God, what's going on? There's 2 or 3 players, aren't they, on the Bucks? Middleton and maybe Drew Holiday that will join them later on, which is going to be an interesting, that's going to be kind of a wear and tear on them. But we panic over these things. But that's not good. It's not good. They've lost to Nigeria and Australia.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about them. I'm not worried about Team USA. I think once the lights come on, they're going to go out there and play well and do what they do. I mean, and if they don't, then there really will be something to talk about because, they kind of let it slip after, the domination for so long. They had a period a few years ago where they lost, like a gold medal game or whatever it was. And, everybody's like, all right, we got to take this seriously again. So I think it'll be one of those when the lights come. I mean, like, let's face it, there's no way if these guys are taking it all the way seriously that Australia's beating them in a head-up game for like a gold medal or anything. An exhibition, that's a different deal. So I'm not worried about it. But, I mean, this isn't like the dream team. I mean, this is not LeBron and KD and every best player in America and James Harden and like all these guys coming together. It's kind of a mix mash of some stars and some lesser stars, and it's not, the A-list. It's pieces of the A-list. So they're not, bulletproof by any means, but I'm not worried about them like not getting a medal or not winning the gold or anything.
Fran Fraschilli in 2004, I was embarrassed for USA basketball. We taught the world our game. We forgot it ourselves. It's completely different now. 25% of the NBA born outside the U.S. It's a global game. We're not dominating FIBA game the way we used to. Blame the dream team. Cooperstein has a point here. Okay, this is from Don Harris in San Antonio. But we have not fallen into the same trap as we did in 2002 and 2004. Or have we not fallen in the same trap by not having the same group of people playing through a full cycle of international play? Instead, we're doing it like we used to, picking people on the fly, hoping they'll figure it out. And then there's some of the comments from, these are those who cover the NBA and sports, that like what you said, Craig, this is not the full throttle team. But you don't you need, no matter how good you can turn it on when the lights come on, don't you kind of need to build up to that point? They got to play. They're going to play more games.
They don't have any chemistry right now, but they've only played 2 games together. And some of these guys, don't necessarily probably like each other yet.
LeBron,
they're still fresh off the season.
Davis, Kawhi, Harden, Chris Paul. There's many others that aren't there, that aren't playing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not Jordan, Bird, and Magic out there. It's KD and
it's KD and Damian Lillard are the two legit stars, and then everybody else is a nice player.
Yeah, I'm not saying these guys don't deserve to be on Team USA or whatever, but I think like half the roster would not be on Team USA if the real Team USA all wanted to play. That's for sure. There's like half the team is just alternates, so that's part of it as well. But I mean, like, wouldn't we expect it to be harder given that basketball has now spread its wings? Like, isn't that the point, is that Australia should be a lot better and should be competing on occasion, and these countries who have embraced basketball? So I don't think it should be the same cakewalk it's always been, when really the U.S. was like the only power playing basketball, basically.
You can make an argument that the second best player playing in the whole Olympics is playing for Slovenia now, and that was not the case in Luka Doncic.
Good point.
And so that was not the case. Slovenia is making the Olympics for the first time, I think, since 1984.
Yeah, but the international players have been better now.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, like that's my point. It's like, so now you've got guys in Slovenia that are good. You've got guys in Nigeria that are good. You've got guys all over the place that are really, really good.
And I see this, they're tired. They had the compact season. Some of the guys they're playing against have done that too. And even those who are not a part of the NBA, they've been playing nonstop too. It's not like they haven't been playing. They've just been maybe playing more together for a little bit longer time.
Patty Mills led Australia, so it's not like they're playing non-NBA guys either. I mean, that's the thing, too, is these are also not only countries that have now embraced basketball and been playing it for a while, but they put guys in the pros, and those pros cannot play for them. So, you see Australia on the schedule like, oh, they got nobody. Well, yeah, there's a Patty Mills. There's a guy like that probably on every roster, or nearly every roster at this point. You're going to probably run into an NBA alum or current guy. But, yeah, I mean, we'll see. If they play this way, here in a bit in Tokyo, then that'll be a different thing when the games are for real.
All right, when we come back, we'll update the early parts of the poll about the 4 transfers who might have the most positive impact on Baylor in 2021. Also, our next guest is supposed to be former Baylor and Chicago Bears running back Ronnie Bull. We talked, but I haven't heard him in the last couple of hours. So hoping he will be available when we call him in a minute. If not, then we're going to go back to your comments and questions and opinions as well at 254-339-1122. Logan Henderson of MCC drafted by the Brewers. He's at 345 or 350. Mack Rhoades today at 420. Also David Hellman, John McClain in the 5 o'clock hour. Paul Catalina's top 5 at 5:55. Craig's off the radar at 4:45. And this is SicEm365 Radio. Marco's Pizza. Go to marcos.com and find the location you want. But in Central Texas, in the Waco area, there are 3 Marco's Pizzas: China Spring, Woodway, and also in Belmead. The one in Belmead closer to our studio, the one that delivers to us and delivers, for example, a couple of the things they have available right now. Ours, we love to do it. The large pizza, thin crust, all meat, whatever. But also they have unlimited medium one-topping pizzas right now for $6.99 a piece. Delicious pizza bowls for $7.99 a piece. The Pizza Tasty Sidekick. Enjoy fresh baked cheesy bread. You can get that for whatever you want or on the side when you also order something else. Pizza lovers know, Marco's Pizza at marcospizza.com, marcos.com, Belmead, Woodway, and also China Spring.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or wacocustommarketplace.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Allen Samuels is holding the Ram Spotlight event on the new 2021 Ram Lone Star Crew Cab trucks at Allen Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year is built to serve. This truck is perfect for whatever your lifestyle calls for. Impressive towing, high-strength steel frame, and the smoothest, most comfortable ride of any truck. Allen Samuels located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco. Come see the Ram Lone Star Crew Cab. The Ram Spotlight event won't last long. Visit Allen Samuels today or online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The Sic'em365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
All right, working on Ronnie Bull, former Baylor running back, and also was a hell of a player with the Chicago Bears, was a part of an NFL championship in the days before the Super Bowl, and also, I believe, was Rookie of the Year in the NFL. Always remember Ronnie Bull had that crew cut, I believe, and played at Baylor and also with the Chicago Bears. It might have been a year or two with somebody else as his career started to wind down. The poll, the question, 254-339-1122. Who among the transfers on the Baylor football roster will have the most positive impact this season and why? Siaka Ika, Jacob Gall, the offensive lineman from Buffalo, Ika from LSU, Drew Estrada, who we really never saw much of during the spring. He was out, did not play a lot. Wide receiver, and Grant Miller, the transfer offensive lineman from Vanderbilt. And why? 254-339-1122. And right now, I knew this was going to probably be the case, but you don't know, is Ika's got 74% of the vote among the first 100 people who have voted. So I thought Jacob Gall would get a lot more. You mentioned him. I would think that Ika can have a huge impact, and probably perhaps the most. But with the offensive line needing everything, Gall can possibly be part of the glue that helps them. And then, of course, that affects quarterback, wide receiver, running back, and it affects the defense, too.
Even without a guy like Apu Ika last year, they didn't really get gashed in the run most of the time. So, that's what he's going to really do is stuff the run. So, again, I know he's going to have a big impact, and I'm pretty sure he is, and I know that he's probably going to be the most notable player, but the most notable issue is the fact that no matter who was playing center last year, they were getting run through.
All right, from Gary Wilson, he'll keep the line. Siaka Ika busy so the linebackers can run wild. From Maxwell, I've got Ika just because there's a good chance we'll need the defense to carry us for a game or two. Linebackers could be dominant behind the big-time nose tackle. Matthew said, I don't worry much about the defenses. Aranda's great at that end. The offensive line shaping up nicely. Went in to talk quarterback, whatever. So he didn't quite answer the question, so I followed up, and he said, I think Drew Estrada, the wide receiver, who we never really saw.
No.
In any of the open practices or unless I was looking at the wrong player.
Is he here yet, or was he still?
No, he was here.
He's hurt.
Yeah.
He was hurt. Remember, he talked about his hamstrings back during the springtime.
And a guy like that who's, about speed, he wore number 18 jersey.
I mean, I think he's going to be good. I don't think he's going to be the best of the guys to come through. I mean, maybe he is, but I think everybody's just picking Ika because he's a fun guy and he's vocal on social media and he's been hyped up. He was made to be a big deal from the moment he arrived. So I think just people are – what have we heard since Jacob Gall committed about him? Not a single thing. Drew Estrada, basically nothing. So, Siaki's more Apu's more vocal. He's more out there, and I think he's just got a fun personality that people have latched onto. I think that's part of it.
Yeah, I do think that Ika being the personality has a lot to do with that as well. But I do think that Gall, if he then sets up everybody else to his left and right, especially at the guard position, where they have something inside to be able to move some bodies and have at least a little bit of that ability to run the football, then perhaps in the end he might have bigger impact even than Siaka, who was a beast. You hear all the coaches talking about him, and you could see Dave Aranda smile when and was Gall even here during spring? No, he wasn't. So we didn't get a chance to watch him do much. And I do think that there's been a lot of people are sleeping a little bit on Grant Miller, who I think maybe is trying to figure out, and so is Mateos, what is his best place, offensive line on the center or guard, because I thought he came in to help solidify center. They didn't have Gall. And then that's not the way it worked out. And I'm not so sure Grant wasn't a little bit, what's the word? A little bit frustrated, because I don't know if he where he was. And a lot of it, you got to do that yourself as a player. And so if Gall and Miller can come in and give them at least stability in the offensive line inside, then obviously that sets up everybody else. So I still wonder about right tackle. Honestly, I wonder about every five offensive, all of them. Even Connor Galvin.
I'm not that worried about Connor Galvin. That's just me though. Elsewhere, I'm curious just to see what it looks like. I mean, they seem to have some pieces, and maybe not all the pieces that they need just yet. I mean, but they're gonna have to. You got to play with what you have. So, I mean, there's not really time to go add some great left tackle now. You got who you got. So coach them up, get them better, and get them protecting the quarterback, and you can go win a bunch of games next year if you do that. Because, that's the thing that people forget, too. The defense isn't great. It was probably overrated a little bit last year because the offense was so god-awful. And the fact that the defense was the only thing that was worth watching for 95% of last year, and the only thing that was entertaining. But they could be massively better, in my opinion, because not like they got a whole lot of coaching of that defense before everything fell apart either. I mean, we talk about the offense, but that was also a brand new defense. So that was something different for them to have to learn, and they weren't all, 100% from game number one on what they were supposed to be doing. So I would think that there will be quicker reaction times just because guys are far more familiar with their responsibilities.
From Daniel, I think Texas is overrated, K-State underrated. If Baylor doesn't make a bowl, it will be a disappointment, but not a shock to me. From TJ, I really don't see how anyone can base anything off of last season anyway. That's from TJ.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there with you as well. There's some things I think you can see. I mean, we saw a little bit of Jacob Zeno and looked like a dude that was super uncomfortable at times. Looked like a guy who was, someone who hadn't played a whole lot. So we did get to see things like that. But for the most part, no. I mean, you can't really do any comparison to the offense from last year because, what are you going to compare exactly? Everything's different now. And the defense, I think you can carry over some things from that. But offensively, I don't know how you would.
Well, what we saw last year is the teams that were already loaded for bear, they were able to navigate it because – they're loaded. I mean, that's everyone expected them to be. Nothing ridiculously tragic happened to them. But if you have, one, a new coaching staff, and two, you don't know if you're on Thursday, if you're going to play on Saturday every week, which was the case for the majority of the teams in the country. I mean, that's something that I don't think you can get over.
Wasn't Penn State a huge drop? Yeah. Michigan obviously had a drop.
Didn't Baylor also have a month off in the middle of the season? Yeah. That's the thing too. Is they won 2 games. They also missed a month due to COVID. A month. They had to move 3 games to get enough guys healthy. So we're also we don't even bring that part up. We don't even bring that up half the time. And it just dawned on me oh yeah, the team that won 2 games also missed a third of their season at one point, because they had to sit on the sidelines with COVID protocol. So, that didn't help anybody learn, get better, grow really in any way. And you saw the shape the team was in by the end of the year. Oklahoma State went ahead and just put the last bullet in their head and, ended it for them. But, that's another thing. We don't even, add all this stuff up. Brand new coach, no spring ball, terrible offense that doesn't gel with anybody practically. A month off for COVID in the middle of the season. Guys missing every single week. 2 or 3 guys missing every single week. They had to play their last game without the majority of their coaching staff and the majority of the team. And their coaching staff was missing.
They didn't need. Usually they need a plane and then other people go up. They needed less than the plane that they had to
They were the most riddled team COVID wise.
Or they would have needed less than a plane. Yeah.
Yeah, they were the most riddled team in the Big 12 last year COVID wise. Mm-hmm. With a brand new head coach and no spring ball and, an entirely brand new coaching staff for the most part and a new strength and conditioning guy when they didn't even really have strength and conditioning and they were the most riddled with, look at all these factors that play in. It's not like they went out there. They were really well coached and they had spring ball and everybody was available and everybody was 100% healthy, and like they just went out and got their heads kicked in. No, they went out there sometimes with like half the offense that was supposed to be out there. The guy coaching half that offense didn't really know what he was doing. Like, I mean, there were so many different things that were thrown in their pathway.
Okay, you've made all those points. Now, those excuses are over.
I agree.
And so now that gives you a mulligan. And I even thought that Matt Rule's first year was a mulligan. And obviously, thank God for him, it was at 1-11, because then what he did 7-6 and then the 11-3. So last year has all these excuses, and a lot of them are very legitimate. But those things are now out the window. Year 2, you had an offseason, you had spring drills, you have a new strength and conditioning coach pretty quickly, you changed some of the offensive staff, you brought in some people at key positions where you needed them, and guess what? You got to go win. You got to go win something. You got to go look like a football team. I'm not so sure. I remember saying that early in the year. I just want to see them go out and look like they've been practicing. And then again, well, they never really did. So that's something that maybe was even too high of an expectation.
I mean, I would think I would like to see the grid of days where they had a full actual practice. And then
a full actual, like with everybody.
Like a full actual practice. Okay.
No.
And then
before they started practice.
And then did it again the next day.
No, they didn't. Well, I was told even this year the offensive line never had back-to-back practices with everybody there because of bumps and bruises, because of this or that. And, that's kind of getting tiring. And that doesn't mean that it's not true or factual or evidence. But you know what? Get your big boy pants on. Go play football. And I think that's why Eric Mateos coming in brings that mentality. And that's why early on Jeff Grimes talked about he wants a violent offense. He wants to run a violent offense. Maybe that was as much, that's what he wants to do, but also a message, that's who we're going to try to be. That, I mean, you can say it, but that doesn't mean you're going to do it. But I do think that you'll see a little bit of that where you actually punch somebody rather than are the one taking all the punches.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the schedule last year. I mean, Kansas, that should be a 30-point win every time. That should be a 30-point win this year as well. Your second game of the year, you're losing double overtime in Morgantown.
Yep.
Now, granted, these teams are also dealing with their stuff, but I don't recall any games where they, missed the starting quarterback when they played teams. I mean, maybe there was one or two where there were some key players missing, but it almost always felt like Baylor was the one that had somebody important missing. And so you have a double overtime loss to West Virginia. Then you had 3 weeks off because of a COVID outbreak. You go to Austin in game number 3. You lose by 11. Okay, that's respectable. Following week in Waco, it's your third game since, your fourth game since September 26th, and it's now October 31st. And you lose by 10 to TCU, a touchdown loss in Ames, one point loss to Tech in Lubbock.
What would have happened if they beat? If. But they had the game with Iowa State, not in control, but they were at least dictating the tempo. They win that game in Ames, they win the game in Lubbock because then it's just going to happen. Because that game was a team just almost like just waiting to be put to in the electric chair.
And then you're talking about a team going 4-5 with a brand new head coach and all the stuff that we've already talked about ad nauseum. So, and I know it doesn't correlate exactly like that where, what happened in 2020 means, no, there's going to be some of these teams that are better than they were. There's also going to be some teams that aren't as good as they were. And, Baylor's a team that should be better. So, I mean, they were in close games last year. Other than Oklahoma State, no one, not even Oklahoma, really just beat the mess out of them. It felt like that at times, but they were pretty much in games, and they were in games without having any offense, pretty much to speak of. You were talking about what, maybe 2 out of every 10 drives they actually crossed the 50, maybe? To get to the 50 was a whole drive for the Baylor offense last year. So these are all the reasons why I'm being optimistic, and I'm with you. There's no excuses. If they go out and they win 2 games this year, Dave Aranda's on the hot seat, and there's no question about it, and there will be no excuse to not have him on the hot seat because there's no excuse to only win a couple games this year.
Yeah, I agree, and he knows that, and Mack Rhoades knows that, and anybody goes out, and if Kansas State doesn't do well, if Wells doesn't have a team that goes to a bowl game, he's going to be on the hot seat. We will be at Big 12 Media Days both tomorrow and Thursday at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. We are going to have a handful of those coaches who are there that join us on Wednesday also or Thursday. And don't forget the meet and greet at Three Nations Brewing Company in Carrollton off I-35. We'll be there off Vandergrift. We'll be there 7 o'clock or so on Wednesday after the show. We'll kind of put things down, put them to sleep, and then head on over there to meet some of the great listeners and or those a part of SicEm365.com. Back in a moment with Logan Henderson of McLennan Community College, drafted by the Brewers, and this is SicEm365 Radio.
I saw Lance Donaldson the other night, and he was fresh off of closing a house. He had done that. That's what he does. He has been closing a lot of houses and has some brand new listings on his website, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com. And look, if you are trying to navigate the housing market right now, you're going to need a realtor in your corner who is going to help you get the best price for selling your house and going to find you a great price on buying a house because it is a seller's market. Lance Donaldson can help you do that. He describes himself as a local realtor with a unique perspective, and I promise you he is definitely that. So give him a call, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
Three Nations Brewing Company is a recognized award-winning brewery that has been recognized for being a community leader, a successful business, and most of all for brewing great beer. Three Nations offers the community something fun all throughout the week. Wednesday night bingo, Thursday trivia, New Beer Friday promotes fresh beer from their small batch system and live music every Saturday night. There are regular celebrations such as St. Patrick's Day, Switchyard, Cinco de Mayo, July 4th, new beer launches, dog rescues, annual anniversary events, and Oktoberfest parties. Three Nations is a dog-friendly and family-friendly brewery. Don't miss out on the fun. So come visit Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rhoades Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed. Smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rhoades group meal.
Next in line.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, all new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
Logan Henderson of McLennan Community College with us on SicEm365 Radio, and, of course, drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers on Monday. What has today been like for you?
You know, it's been an unbelievable experience for me. Getting to enjoy this with my family and friends at the house was something I'll never forget, and the love everybody's shown me today has been something unreal.
Logan, you obviously are a big game pitcher. Mitch Thompson told me, MCC head coach told me that he got a tip from Zach Dillon, former Baylor All-American, about how you were as good a big game pitcher as he's ever seen. And then you win 2 games in the World Series, and you are the MVP, and you helped McLennan win their first title in a long, long time. What did that mean to you when people believed in you? And you really weren't that highly recruited out of high school.
You know, it's great to hear that high praise from Coach Dillon. He was one of the first people to believe in me in high school. You know, my freshman year of high school, I was 5'2", maybe 130 pounds, and he believed in me and stuck me on one of the 12 teams. And throughout high school, he progressively started putting me on the higher team. And for him to trust me like that really means the world. And he'd always put me in those big time games. And you know, that definitely prepared me for a year like this, to where I was throwing in big games every week. And a lot of credit to Coach Thompson for giving me the ball in Grand Junction, because, I mean, as a pitcher, you want the ball in those big spots. And, I mean, it was a great experience.
You're 19 years old. You just finished your first year, true freshman in college, and you get a call. And you have all this in front of you. You also have the commitment to Texas A&M, and you have this. You know, there's a lot of games behind the scenes before they take you. So where are you right now with that?
You know, I'm just super blessed that the Brewers have given me this opportunity. You know, we're still figuring things out, but you know, I'm just super thankful to be in the spot I'm in right now.
What's it like you said, where you were not recruited very highly, and then all of a sudden you're drafted among the top 5 rounds in the draft? What was that feeling like? You mentioned all the people around you, friends and family, but just for yourself, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it means a lot to me. I've had some great people in my circle for the last few years, and I definitely wouldn't be in the spot I am today without them. So, you know, with good people in your corner and working hard every single day, good things can happen. So I'm in a really good spot right now, and I credit that to my coaches, teammates, family, friends, and I'm just super thankful for that.
What was it about your fastball? Picked up a couple of extra miles per hour. Everyone knows about your plus change-up and a lot of things you have. What was it as far as the adrenaline rush, excitement of pitching in that situation?
I put in a lot of work to gain those few miles an hour on my fastball. Being consistent in the weight room definitely helped a lot. Coach Stark did a great job with all of us at McLennan in the weight room, and I can't give him enough credit for how much he did, but how much he helped me this year, and the people back home I work out with, and at DST, they've all helped me tremendously in the weight room. But definitely being in the weight room helped, and you know, I've always had a pretty good fastball. I think the spin rate on it is pretty high, so it tends to get past some hitters' barrels, and you know, being on a stage like that in Grand Junction definitely helped me out a little bit. But the juices were flowing there, and that fastball changeup combination the entire year worked for me.
3 of the last 4 years, MCC's been able to send some junior college talent to Major League Baseball. You knew that when you committed and signed with MCC, and now you're a part of it as well. What is that like to be a part of this pipeline?
You know, it really is an honor. I I'm thankful Coach Thompson brought me in and gave me the opportunity to be in the spot. That was talked about on my visit was, McLennan's pretty much a launch pad for sending guys to not only the Division I level, but to professional baseball, and that's always been a goal of mine. So it really is an honor to be included in that company. And I know Josh Bro and Connor Phillips are two of the names that come before me, and to even be mentioned in that category is really cool.
Coach Thompson also mentioned Ryan LaMotta. You reminded him of Ryan LaMotta, who ended up going on to play Major League Baseball from Baylor as well. Did you know Ryan LaMotta, his story as well?
Yes, Coach Thompson touched on that on my visit as well. When I stepped into his office on my visit, he made sure to tell me his story and how I reminded him so much of him. And he was like, Ryan LaMotta was an All-American at Baylor, and he was like, Logan, I believe that you can be an All-American here, and you're going to have some success at the next level. So for Coach Thompson to have that faith in me and to believe in me like that truly means a lot.
Kind of have some things ironed out in the next 24 hours? Do you get a couple of days to take a deep breath and think about it? What happens?
I really am not sure of that right now. I haven't talked a whole lot with the Brewers. He said the area scout, KJ Hendricks, said he'd get with me tomorrow and fill me in with more details, but right now they're just letting me enjoy it with family and friends, so I'm super appreciative of that.
How much fun are they having?
They're having a blast. That moment getting drafted, I think everybody shed a tear and choked up a little bit, but they're enjoying it just as much as I am, because I definitely wouldn't be here without them. They've put in countless hours to help me get into this position. So they deserve this just as much as I do, for sure.
Logan, congratulations. Whatever decision you make, I know it'll be a great one. Thanks for your time. Congratulations on the big moment.
Thank you, sir.
That's Logan Henderson, McLennan College, drafted by Milwaukee. SicEm365 Radio.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include food, screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sic'em365 Radio.
Vital gets it to the far side. Teague up high off the glass. Vital had to revitalize.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour. Mack Rhoades will join us at 4:20. You know what today is? He was introduced 5 years ago. Today is the AD at Baylor.
And each day's been better than the last.
Has it?
Look, I can tell you that 5 years ago that today is better than that day.
We were in, Craig, at the Omni downtown?
Yeah, Big 12 Media Days.
And he was introduced, and, of course, that was, golly, that was, who was the interim president was there. And
is that Chuck Ninus?
No, I'm talking about for Baylor.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was just a hard couple of days.
Had the wacky FM guy from Oklahoma, just a stereotypical FM radio DJ who made the first question at the press conference about Baylor and the scandal and just ripped that right off from the get-go, which I'm sure that same guy will ask about Kansas to start off the festivities tomorrow. No, he won't. But yeah, that was a tough time period for sure.
Yeah, that was a miserable day. That was a day when, to go back, and there was a show in Austin that throughout the second day we were there was just popping on us about our interviews that we had done with Bowlesby. Remember the interview we did with Bowlesby? And we asked him some questions about a lot that was going on. And then next thing you know, I get a text from somebody who listens to us at the time we were at the radio station. And so I walk up to the co-host during a break, and I went, always have good respect. I don't mind you have an opinion about whatever we do, but just know that we have people listening to you on occasion, and you probably could have just toned it down a little bit just because your audience, you're playing to the crowd. And he could tell he was awkward. Because we asked Bob Bowlesby we had legitimate questions, and it was not easy. Bowlesby was kind of uncomfortable too.
Well, that's the first time I've heard that, and I'll tell you right now, I remember quite a few of the things that certain media people said, and I won't forget that from that time period. And I, as you guys know, am not one to forgive very easily. So it's a little bit of a grudge I hold, and I know who those people are. And one in particular from Austin who reveled in all of that, loved it, loved every minute of it, loved every time there was a new allegation. And, those people have to live with themselves, so whatever.
Nearly 176 votes. Who among the transfers for BU football this year the most positive impact on 2021 and why? Siaka Ika, 75%. It dropped to about 70, 176 votes. Drew Estrada, 12.5%. Gall, the offensive lineman, 8.5%, and then Grant Miller at 4%.
One of two things is happening with Jacob Ball. Either people have so little faith in the offensive line bouncing back, or they're just I don't. And no offense to Drew Estrada, but I mean he's not Larry Fitzgerald or anything. I mean, so.
He could be the number one receiver, though, because, they don't have anybody. I mean, everybody, R.J. Sneed this or Tyquan Thornton that, and I feel like both those guys are going to have big years, but Drew Estrada could come in and be the leading receiver. I mean, he could, especially if they're going to use him in a variety of different ways to get him the football as a running back, as a wideout, as a slot guy, whatever. So I could see where he's going to have an impact. I don't know that it'll be bigger than either of the offensive linemen, though, or even Ika, because – I mean, they didn't have an Ika last year. They didn't have Bravion Roy. He's Bravion Roy and bigger. And so, he should make a massive difference in the middle for this defense. And let Terrell Bernard and Jalen Petrie actually fly around and not have to play defensive linemen sometimes themselves, because of whatever push the offense was getting. Now those guys should be able to be freed up a little bit more and be the playmakers that they are. So, I mean, each one of those four, though, I think they're all going to have an impact, to be sure.
If you hope that all four, the reason they transferred is the reason you wanted them is because you hope that they do fill a position, a void, and two of them on the offensive line. That's not a surprise at all. Estrada, the only thing is, based on what we saw this spring, we didn't see enough. So as long as he doesn't end up being one of those that always is constantly battling a hamstring issue, whatever, he's not going to be Julian Edelman or he's not going to be Wes Welker. He's a pretty big body. I don't know what their size is compared to him, but he can bring a sense of cerebral to that offensive, to the passing game. But they need others. They need Ellis, and they need Holmes, and they need those to also get to the next level. Not just flash in the pan, not just a flash or two every 4 or 5 weeks, but they need them because some of them have the ability to hurt a defense if, in fact, you have the time to throw the football. Jacob Gall, I'm going to go with him. I hope I'm not disappointed because I know the UCLA offensive lineman, when he came in, we felt like that. Okay, my God, because it was the same thing. You're thirsty for an offensive lineman. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to go with Gall because if Gall sticks, and Gall sticks, plays injury-free, then you kind of, Mateos can play a little bit with all the others, whatever he has at left guard, maybe right guard and right tackle.
Yeah, I hope so. But yeah, I think
he hopes so too.
The offensive line, and again, I see that it can't get worse. It can. I mean, look, it can get worse. I've seen people say that, but the offensive line is the key to this team getting better. I mean, that's the key, is because I do think that whoever the quarterback winds up being, as long as they can stay pretty upright most of the time, they'll be able to move the ball. But if they can't, then you're going to see more of that. And I think that they'll be at least a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm expecting them to be better.
What if it's just, you remember the days when Baylor's offense scored all the time? And we wondered back in 2011 when Phil Bennett was hired, or even 2010, Brian Norwood was the defensive coordinator, hell of a guy, and a good coach. But we always wondered, what if, like it was a legitimate question because the offense was so explosive, even though 10 was not quite, they had to grind it to get to a bowl game. What if the defense stopped the other team once a half? Remember how we used to think that way? And it was a lot easier said than done. Now, they were just very, very good. 11, it was a much better team, RG3's Heisman Trophy. But still, even then, they got blitzed by A&M and Oklahoma State. I think lost probably to, can't remember who else they lost to in 11. I can't remember who it was, but it was somewhat early in the year. And then, you just like, if they could get a stop a half. So if Baylor can get a scoring drive, even if it's a field goal each half, that doesn't sound like much, but that's probably worth a couple of, let's say 10 points a game.
That beats Texas Tech. That beats Texas Tech and West Virginia last year.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And they barely averaged 21 points last year.
That's incredibly. That's so bad.
They barely averaged 21 points last year. 21's like the starting point in today's college football, basically. So, yeah, one extra drive, you're averaging 28 points, and you're winning 4 games instead of 2 or 5 games instead of 2. And not to mention, how would this defense play if they actually had some help from time to time? Imagine that. Imagine if this defense wasn't on the field 90% of a ball game.
Where they feel like they almost have to toss a shutout to have a chance to win.
And when by the end of the year, they just threw up their hands and said, all right, screw this.
Where the offense 10 years ago was like, man, we got to score 50 a game to win.
Right.
It's in the opposite now. Yeah.
We got to hold them to 15 points.
Which basically is more mentally a grind? Do you have to score every time you have the ball?
Going to score is more fun, so I would think the defensive side would be the grind because you're out there the majority of the time. I mean, it's not like they were getting long breaks in between series. I mean, there were times where Charlie and them were out there for like 2.5 minutes. and win and hold like 3 and out, 2.5 minutes, and just off the field.
And if not for television, it would have been that long.
Exactly.
I mean, so it's just
like, they got no breathers hardly any time throughout the. I mean, no, it's true though. I mean, the majority of the time they had off were commercial breaks because the offense wasn't on the field very long. I mean, again, I just think back to last year. Do you remember how hard it was for them to get to the 50-yard line? If no matter where it was kicked off to, they could start at the 30, they could start at the 20, they could start at the 45, and it would still take them 2 plays to get to the 50.
Hey, if the other team had a punter that could put them behind the 20,
they're screwed.
At the 19 or back, nothing was going to happen.
No, they had to be set up well field position wise for any hope. I mean, it was the dregs, man, and you know, I just can't foresee a scenario where it's just like that again, or even. I can't even imagine a worse scenario.
All right, so against Iowa State, a game that they had, it looked like it had them on a day when that could have been a great win, and it would have been a devastating loss for Iowa State. Baylor's drives. In the first possession, they went 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Now, I understand that you could be really good. You could be 10-3, 11-2, whatever, and have drives that go like a minute and a half the way the game is played.
Well, the old Baylor defense would have a minute and a half, but the thing is their offense scored, so it didn't have like a bunch of extra. Like they knew they were going to be dog tired, but they knew that as long as they just got to stop here and there, their offense was going to score. This defense last year, they not only had to get stops, but then they didn't even know if their offense would score. So they had to get stops and almost try to score themselves to get points on the board.
Which is kind of really the philosophy of 19. Get enough offense, but you have to set them up probably for 10 points a game with field position. And the special teams, of course, was special. Pretty good, too. Block punts and stuff like that. So if they scored on their first possession, they took 2:45 off the clock. Second possession, 2:46 off the clock. They went 36 yards, scored again. Had another interception. Remember when, what's the guy's name? He's so good. He's a quarterback, was struggling. Baylor then, 2 plays, 2 yards. They threw a pick. They had a 31-second drive. Let's see. Interception. Did they have an interception return for a touchdown, Iowa State? Is that right? 0 plays? That's what it says here. Petrie, that's right. Mm-hmm. All right. Minute 58. Minute 36.
It was in the open today.
And this is the end of the half. Remember that it looked like they could have gotten something out of it, but they only went 4 plays. 4 plays, 14 yards. 3 plays, 4 yards. 4 plays, 2 yards. And that's when everything flipped. 3 plays minus 2 yards. 3 plays 9 yards. 5 plays 7 yards. That is the entire third quarter, what I just said.
And that's what, like 22 yards total on 4 drives?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, and you're the defense, and you're sitting there watching that, and I know that Sherrell Bernard and them, they just keep their head down and go to work, but they did not against Oklahoma State last year. That was when just the dam burst because there were enough players missing at that point that even the defense was like, all right, whatever.
I mean, what can you when you know that you have to keep a team to 20 or less for you to win a game every week, not just 1 week out of the year. You know, like there are times where you know that, like, look, this team, you know, they're not going to let us score a lot of points, so we better not let them score a lot of points. It's just how this game's going to go. But if you know that every week, whether it's, of course, they blew out Kansas, but whether it's Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Texas, or Oklahoma, that you can't give up more than 20 points, eventually, I mean, the wall's going to fall.
Okay, they led at halftime, right? Baylor at Iowa State. Then recovered they recovered a punt return at about I don't know where it might have been, about the 35 or so yard, the 21-yard line. Is that right? Yeah, they recovered a punt return, a muff punt. And Baylor ran for a yard, run for a yard, pass incomplete, kicked a field goal, 36-yard field goal. They started the drive at the Iowa State 21 and came away, went 3 plays, 2 yards, kicked a field goal. And the game flipped. And on the kick return, Iowa State went 67 yards. And that point on, everything seemed to be out of control.
Well, that was another thing that they got to improve on from last year was they were not the best about limiting the responses. It felt like when they did have something good, the other team had something immediately happen. It was almost like the defense was like, oh my God, our offense scored, and then forgot to play defense right afterwards. And so then you just put yourself right back in the same hole. I feel like that happened multiple times last year where they'd actually make a play and then go give up a play. And you're right back to square zero.
And playing a little beamer ball may not be a bad idea for this team.
That's what Matt Rule did.
Yeah, I mean, blocking kicks and and returning punts and doing all that stuff. I mean, this team probably needs to do that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, when we come back.
I think every team does, but this team in particular.
Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades. Craig's Off the Radar at 4:45. We'll have David Hellman, John McClain, Paul's Top 5 at 5:55. And we have in the studio today, Hayden, Emma, Marquise, Armstrong, and Jack. Sic'em365 Radio. Don Shumidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. They have Rocky Patel and also La Fontana. It's Torpedo cigars. They're not the Churchill length, which are the longer cigars, which I love that when it's Romeo and Juliet, Macanudo, Ashton, whatever. And La Fontana's got some Churchill length cigars as well. But they have a Torpedo light cigar that's both Rocky Patel and also La Fontana that I've tried lately, and it's very good. It's a great cigar. And you have the best cigars, the elite cigars in the world inside Don Shumidor's 48-foot walk-in humidor. I don't know why it wasn't 49 feet or 52 or 42, but the bottom line is when you walk in that store, you'll see on the ground one box of cigar after another, empty cases of the cigar boxes, and just filled to the racks inside the 48-foot walk-in humidor with all of the various brands. Cohiba, they have them. And that's there inside Don Shumidor. Plus, don't forget the CBD products, including Vita Dreams. You have a gummy, you can nibble a one, half a one, the entire one. It helps you fall asleep where you get that extra 30 to 45 minutes to an hour every night. You don't toss and turn. Don Shumidor and Coffee Beans. Tell Carol, Ashley, and Cheyenne Smokey sent you on the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneeredboys.com.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhoades is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
All right, 4:19, SicEm365 Radio again at Arlington tomorrow, at AT&T Stadium on Wednesday and Thursday, Big 12 Media Days. And today is kind of an anniversary. 5 years ago today, Mack Rhoades was announced and introduced as the new athletic director at Baylor University. Did you go home that night and cry after that press conference in Arlington or in Dallas?
Oh, I don't remember going home, but I do remember crying. No, it was there was an event that night, I believe. I think we did the press conference, obviously in conjunction with Big 12 football media days in Dallas, and I think there was an event that night, and it was I remember it was a packed event, and I was able to get up and speak for 5 to 10 minutes. In front of our Baylor family, and hopefully I don't think I embarrassed myself. I think it went okay, and then the next day we were off to Waco and to see campus and meet people, and then I think it was a month later, like that August 15th or 16th, that Monday in August when I first began my duties. So it's been quite a remarkable 5 years.
Did you have people at the time 5 years ago that asked you, why would you want this particular job given what you're stepping into?
Yeah. I mean, just being very, very honest with you. I don't know that I had one person say that, oh, Mack, congratulations. That's a really, good move. I think everybody, just was shocked and surprised and some you could tell just by their lack of enthusiasm and support. And then, I had some friends and people that were actually quite verbal about what a mistake it was. And, that kind of knocks you back on your heels a little bit. But you guys know this, Amy and I have said it before, it was bigger than just making a decision to be an athletic director, elsewhere. It was truly a calling, and we prayed about it. We felt like God was calling us to Baylor, and that's what we did. And we've never looked back. It's been like I said, it's been an unbelievable journey.
Mack, not to dwell on doubters, because it's understandable why people might have thought that way at the time, especially being outside of the situation. But after a men's basketball national championship and just all the other successes, I mean, do you still hear the same from some of those same people, or do you kind of get like a quite different reaction from some of them?
Yeah, I think most of them have certainly come around and have said, hey, you obviously knew better than I did, or knew better than us, and so I appreciate those people that they at least realized it, and I'm also grateful for them, in another sense, because they cared enough about me to say something and think it wasn't a good decision, and to try to counsel me otherwise, and you don't have to go through with it, etc. So those are people that you have in your life that care about your well-being and your future. So Amy and I are blessed to have some great friends.
Have you ever thought about writing a book?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I have. I mean, I've had some experiences, and I don't know what it is. about my journey, but I've had some really unique and unbelievable experiences at different institutions along the way. You know, my UTEP days, I had some unbelievably unique experiences there. Akron, one or two, you know, somewhat fairly normal, but Houston, some unbelievable experiences, and Missouri, that's well chronicled, and you know, I think we all know, you know, the 5 years here, and it would be an interesting book. I don't know that anybody would read it, but I think it would be interesting.
Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor on SicEm365 Radio. So we're now almost 2 weeks into the name, image, and likeness parade. In your opinion, have things calmed down? What is the latest when you and others have discussed what the Miami gym owner mentioned a week or so ago? And do you feel like you have a grasp of what the hell's going on?
That last piece just makes me chuckle a little bit, because I think all of us, you know, will tell you we know exactly what's going on, but quite frankly, I think it's really hard to predict. But I can tell you from a Baylor athletics perspective, right? We've had a steady request, and in the last week and a half, 11 different sport programs have had student athletes that have put in requests. They have ranged from, in-person appearance, virtual appearance, joint promotion, social media brand ambassador is probably the largest category. And so, some of those are easy to approve immediately, and some are not so easy to improve. Example, a social media brand ambassador of a startup apparel company. Right? Well, we need to dig into that, because of our contract and our agreement with Nike. And so I would say that at least, up to this point in time, everything has gone really, really smooth, and we've been able to respond back in an appropriate timeline. And again, some you can approve immediately, some take a little bit of time. So it's been going well. We'll see, if this steady stream continues, if it dies down, if it increases. But it's gone well so far.
Mack, do you kind of hope that maybe this stuff gets a little contained to the summer each and every year? I know that, there'll be things for every school that pops up, because there's somebody that we don't know right now that's going to have a huge year, and there's going to be people who want to attach their product to that person. But for the most part, do you hope this kind of navigates in the off seasons for each sport where they can line things up?
Yeah, you would, Paul, I think that's a really a great comment. Yeah, I think you would hope that's the case. One of the things I didn't mention, obviously football so far, just when you think of roster size, most of the requests coming out of football, probably, somewhere around 40 to 50% of all the requests coming from football. But what will be interesting, Paul, to go back to your question is, what happens if a young person blows up during the season? And we've seen that happen, right? We've seen, no one mentioned this person as a Heisman Trophy candidate, and then all of a sudden, you're halfway into the season and they're being mentioned as a candidate, or other sports, right? So how does that in reality, real time, how does that take place right now? Now, do we have brands? Do we have companies contacting that student athlete? And then, how do you manage that during the season, trying to, make sure that young person remains focused on the season at hand, right? Academics, all of the other types of programming we have for our student athletes when you think about Baylor Built or character formation, all of that. So I think that's going to be interesting, Paul, to see how that actually plays out.
Mack, what will be the big topics of discussion, do you think, between yourself and other presidents, ADs, whatnot, when everybody convenes for media days?
I certainly think there'll be some discussion on or continued conversation on the name, image, and likeness, and maybe some feedback on national trends. Anything that's positive, anything that's disturbing. There's a lot more conversation to be had about the Alston case, and again, having it within our conference and not with other conferences is extremely important. So I do think that's going to be ongoing conversation, discussion for us.
You have mentioned more than once when we've talked about NIL how you want to make sure you guys do it a certain way. There are some programs that have basically had this huge launch on social media about the brand and all of that. You have Baylor Built and Baylor Built Plus, but you really haven't, I don't think, jumped out and promoted that a lot. And I think Jovan mentioned this the day after the NIL became official, that you didn't want to maybe launch something because it sounded as if you were reacting to something. Does that make sense? Or is that something you're doing or not?
Yeah, I think it's all strategy. And I think that, strategy for one place is different maybe for another place. And, I think for us, and I'm always careful to say a lot because sometimes it's perceived as you're discounting what other institutions are doing, or you're sitting there and you're saying, well, what we're doing is better. I've got great respect for a lot of institutions in this industry, and quite frankly, I have not so much respect for some others. But for us is we don't want this, and we never wanted this to come across as gimmicky. As just this brand exploitation, this bells and whistles, and then all of a sudden 6 months from now it's really not that. I think for us, we talk about that. Baylor's not necessarily for everybody. You think about, I go back to men's basketball. We didn't win a national championship with, one and done players, 5-star kids. Now we've got a highly touted freshman class, and that's awesome, and we embrace that. But I also think they're the right type of young men for our program, for our institution, and so. We've got a strategy on how we're going to best do it, best implement. We want it to be genuine. We want it to be this recognition of, yes, student athlete brand. Name, image, and likeness is extremely important, but so is the Baylor brand. And where's your brand without the Baylor brand, and how can both enhance one another? And so I think we've been thoughtful. We've been strategic. Do I think we're at a competitive disadvantage when it comes to recruiting? Against other institutions within our within the big league or within the Big 12, within the Power 5, because we haven't come out with this huge name and this programming of name, image, and likeness. Quite frankly, absolutely not. We haven't, and so we know who we are, and we're going to play and capitalize on those strengths.
Have you had feedback at all that from those who contact you or in touch with you that because of how you have handled this, that you are falling behind? Has anyone said that to you? Has anyone felt like that's the perception?
Not that I'm certainly not aware of that. Nothing has come back to us. Nothing has, we certainly haven't received any of that feedback from our coaches. They're potentially on the front line. I think Dave Aranda is really extremely comfortable with how we're navigating, and he's had a voice in how we're navigating, as has Scott Drew or Nikki or Steve Rodriguez or Glenn Moore. I can go down the line. So no, and I'm not quite sure if there's that thought or perception out there that we're behind or something, but I certainly haven't heard it, and I can tell you it's not impacting recruiting, and I think we're in a really good place, and I think our current student athletes trust us and trust how we're doing it, and we're quite frankly, there's going to be some things that we do are like others do, and there's going to be a lot of things that we do that are not like others do, and it's just like when I took this job 5 years ago, most, if not all, thought I was crazy. But I was called here. Amy called here, believed in this place and how we can do it. And so we're not going to always beat to the same drum. We're not always going to be conventional. There are some things that we're going to do that are going to be unconventional and maybe not mainstream.
Mack, I had somebody ask me about football uniforms. Obviously, you just made the decision to change it up with Nike a couple of years ago. But somebody asked, is there any talk about changing it up, like an alternate uniform? I know that Matt Rule brought the Sailor Bear that one year, the helmet. Is there any talk about doing anything like that this upcoming season, or is it pretty much going to stay as it has been since the launch?
Craig, I think it's going to stay fairly similar, and just again to be candid, right? I mean, so much on our plate.
Right.
Our focus is let's go win games, and but there's been conversation obviously with Nike and our equipment people, and the pandemic has impacted Nike, and so some of the delivery and some of the freedom to create, there's some limitations there. So we'll get through this year, and again, I wouldn't expect huge changes, but that doesn't mean that we won't see more creativity in the future.
Michael Ford is your new track and field head coach. Your thoughts? He's been on staff for a long, long time, been very much involved, especially with a lot of the sprinting, the sprinters. Your thoughts about and the discussion about Michael Ford?
Yeah, I think we like all of our searches, it was a process, it was a journey. We were careful, we were meticulous, and we weren't just going to give it to Mike, and and I think there were some out there that thought that's what we should do, but that's not the way it played out. We had great candidates, and our journey we landed on Mike, and I'm extremely excited for him. I think he's got great upside. I think that again, like all of our coaches, head coaches, he's hungry. He wants to be great. He wants our track and field program to be great. He's been under two legends, Coach Hart and Coach Harbor, and yet he's an independent thinker. He's not necessarily, although those are two great models, those aren't necessarily, he's not going to necessarily do everything that way. He's got some thoughts and confidence about, how he wants to do things, and certainly a lot of it will be the way it's been done, but there'll also be some new ways, some new process, and I appreciate that about him. He like I said, I think he's got great potential. I think he's going to come in and do a really good job as head coach, leading our program. You think about track and field, and this is one of the things that I told him. We have 500 plus student athletes. 100 of them are affiliated with our track and field program, and so 1/5. That's really important. That's big. And when you think about the culture of our program, preparing champions for life, and so we were going to be very thoughtful in terms of who we turn that over to, and I believe he's going to be a great leader for our 100 plus young people, and I think he's going to be a great leader for our staff. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited for our track and field program.
Mack, thank you very much. We'll see you Thursday in Arlington. Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhoades with us on Tuesdays at 4:20. Big 12 Media Day starts tomorrow, AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Also, we'll try to track down Michael Ford. He's been with Baylor, I think it's 20 plus years, and he's talked about a lot of the history of what he's done with Baylor track and field. When we come back, Craig Smoak, Off the Radar, SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They got the summer savings event going on now over at Richard Carr. It means you can get a lot of great deals right now. They got new and pre-owned cars and trucks all over the lot that are marked down and are ready for you to take out for some family vacation on those roadways. A lot of people out there traveling. Last thing you want to do in this heat is have a problem on the roadways, have no AC, anything like that. So make sure you can get into a new ride or a nice new used ride. So with Travel Back and the summer savings, you can get on the road specifically in some space, safety, and luxury with the Buick. Right now, qualified buyers will get 0% financing for 72 months on most 2021 Buick SUVs. Richard Carr, as I mentioned, has premium pre-owned cars and trucks, all of them priced to move, with multiple cars and trucks priced to get you back on the road this summer. And each pre-owned vehicle goes through a 172-point inspection before it hits the lot. With dozens of lenders, Richard Carr says yes when others say no. 100% credit approval is always the goal. And they are your local hometown dealership, so give Richard Carr Motors a chance to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes on new cars and trucks, and superior service after the sale. Come by and take a test drive or let them bring the test drive to you. It's a summer savings event going on all month at Richard Carr.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Let
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rhoades Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wraps, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rhoades Barbecue. Next in line.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar.
All right, welcome to Off the Radar, SicEm365 Radio, taking a look at some stories that are a bit off the usual path. No NBA games for the next 3 nights. You may or may not have noticed. There's a lot of talk about the finals. Also, not a lot of talk about the finals. It just kind of depends on, I think, the part of the country that you're in and also probably what you're watching and whatnot, because there seems to be some excitement. And then, I don't know, I don't feel like I'm hearing a whole lot about it since it's really gotten underway. And it looked like this, non-Warriors, non-Lakers, non-the typical team type of finals was going to be a huge hit. Game 2, the top audience ratings-wise since the NBA went on hiatus 16 months ago, but that quickly came back down for game number 3, which averaged still over 9 million viewers on ABC. That was up 51% from Lakers Heat in the bubble last October, if you want to know if fans make a difference.
Yeah.
51% higher than Lakers and Heat, and that's with LeBron and company in a finals, but that's what the bubble factor was. And that game also did air against Sunday Night Football, so I'm sure that took a little bit of a toll. But that was the smallest finals audience ever. We witnessed that last year.
Yeah, the bubble, when I was watching the finals last year, it made me feel like I was watching the Las Vegas Summer League or something like that.
It was just terrible.
Where you turn it on, and it wasn't something – part of the thing is when you turn a game on, even if you're watching it in the background – you know something good has happened because you hear the crowd. Yeah. So I could be in the kitchen cooking or getting ready, and I've got a game on, and all of a sudden I hear the crowd go nuts, and I turn and look. Well, if I'm watching the finals last year, you're just kind of hearing.
Yeah, just hearing the ball dribble.
It's all you're hearing. It's weird. So people obviously this is boring. I don't want to watch this. I'll see what happens tomorrow morning. I
don't like the way the Bucks bounce back, and with emphatic.
Giannis is feeling pretty good.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. And, they did bounce back. That could have been over immediately. And now, you look at the way they played. They beat Phoenix up a little bit and game on.
Yeah, now it's a real series, but it was up higher, as I mentioned, from the bubble last year, but still down 32% from June of 2019, before all hell broke loose. That had Raptors-Warriors. Game 3 was 13 and 13.35 million, so down almost 4.5 million from 2 years ago and the same time frame. So, you could take TV ratings for what they are or what they're not. I mean, I think they do tell a tale. I'm very confused, though, because there's a lot of shows or a lot of things that people follow, and they look at the TV ratings and they say, oh, well, just everybody's cutting the cord. But that's not always the case, though. I think there is some cord cutting that's the reason for why ratings for certain shows or certain sports are going down, but there's also some that are going up. And I wonder, too, just how the pandemic kind of changed people's way of thinking as far as what they watch and all of those types of things.
And I'm sure they probably have new methods to quantify streaming and how long people stream and how to integrate that with time spent watched on your cable box or whatever, on your Nielsen box.
Yeah, Nielsen's now introducing streaming numbers, and I don't know how they're going to do that. I guess it'd be easier just to read machines like they do with regular Nielsen. But yeah, rather than having it like in one cable box out of 100,000 people or whatever, tracking what you're doing, they haven't been able to track, how many people are watching this show on Netflix for how long, and now they're apparently going to be able to do that. So that should be game-changing in its own right. Conor McGregor broke his leg on Saturday night in his big matchup with Dustin Poirier. And already, talking trash, trying to set up a fourth fight. I couldn't possibly care any less because I don't care about Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier Part 4. That's where I am on this whole deal. And Khabib Nurmagomedov, a former nemesis of Conor McGregor, who embarrassed McGregor and then retired as an undefeated fighter after the passing of his father. He just didn't want to continue on with his fighting career, and Khabib called it quits. They've tried to kind of lure him back out, but he seems to be adamant that he's staying retired. But he did have a comment on Conor McGregor and the event on Saturday night. He said, "Money and fame show who you are. All the time we hear that money and fame change people. No. When money and fame come, these two things show you who you are." And what has he done? He punched an old guy in a bar in 2019. You guys can watch everything he did and understand. It's just like Dustin said. This guy is a bag of S. I saw a lot of tweets try to support him after the injury. How are you going to support this guy? When kids, young generation, watch this sport, if you want to promote your fight, promote. If the MMA community is going to support this bad people, this sport is going to go in a bad way. So Khabib Nurmagomedov weighing in on Conor McGregor. And, he's fair to point out the 2019 thing. That was an ugly thing that Conor was involved with. And, I'd love to be like, oh, screw you, Khabib, but kind of right. I think Conor's good for the sport, but as far as the fighter goes, he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. And now we're supposed to get drummed up and excited for the 4th matchup between him and the dude who just clearly beat him in the second fight, was clearly beating him in the third fight before he broke his leg. I don't know. I think the Conor McGregor train's starting to slow down a little bit, guys.
Yeah, I do too. And again, there's one sport in which sometimes they don't know how to walk away, and it's all in a ring. Mm-hmm. It's in a ring. It's boxing. It's MMA. It's UFC, whatever. UFC. It's all of. They just don't know when to walk away. And I've even seen guys come back, the reason I think it's sad because one, it's people are going to pay to see Conor McGregor pick his nose. They will. People will go. They will. Now, eventually it gets sad, and that would be sad. Saturday night, he came out with everything he had. It wasn't as if he was just completely overwhelmed. He was in trouble, but the guy gave it everything he possibly could. But now you worry about his safety.
And one of the things that the torch has clearly been passed. And.
Just what is it, St. George, Pierre, all these guys, eventually they have to move on.
And I do think part of the reason that guys in the fighting arts, whatever they are, keep coming back is that, to make $25 million a year, Tom Brady has to play 17 games.
Yeah.
To make $25 million, all that Conor McGregor has to do is show up and break his leg.
Well,
but I say that, but they have 1 or 2 fights a year. And so the draw of that of I can do one, and you can convince us because you were great.
It's like Mike Tyson's fighting again or trying to fight again because someone's going to pay to watch him, and he's going to make money, and he's going to make up for some of the lost money. There's some of the money he lost, what of the money he didn't.
Even guys who guys who haven't lost money, I think because they make money, it's just the idea of like a Floyd Mayweather. He hasn't really lost that much money in his life. He's pretty good about money. He just knows that, all right, I'll fight this YouTube star. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to make how much money,
Oscar De La Hoya was going to come back and fight. Or you're right. It's just easy money, and it's hard to turn that down, and not many of you or us would be able to do that if all of a sudden they said, hey, here's 10, 15, 25 million.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
Or maybe 50,000.
Who's going to say no to that? I mean, he's richer than Croesus. He doesn't really need the money, but, he does have a big appetite for spending, so won't surprise me if we see Conor McGregor again, fighting a YouTube star in a couple years, Poirier for a fourth time or whatever. They're still talking about like Diaz again, and it's, to cap off their trilogy, and it's like, man, the last time they fought was like 4.5 years ago, and like, what would be the point of that? I mean, so yeah, you're in real time watching a fighter who about 2.5, 3 years ago was the biggest star in the world, has now fallen in a very short amount of time, pretty far. I mean, as far as just his standing in what actually made him as popular as he was. So there was Khabib Nurmagomedov, who did walk away, retired unbeaten, and did so in his 20s. Mm-hmm. That's how dominant he was. He was one who had no problem walking away. Roger Federer is not going to be in Tokyo to play for an Olympic medal in men's singles tennis. Had to withdraw after re-injuring his surgically repaired knee, and said during the grass court season he had suffered a setback. So he is withdrawing from the Olympic Games, but wishes the Swiss team the best of luck. So there's one superstar you will not be seeing this summer. And I don't know how many people really pay attention to Olympic tennis. I mean, I know it's got a following, but I'm not sure. I don't feel like I hear those results as much as I hear about gymnastics and track and everything else.
It's not. And that was that not a late ad? Is that a recent thing, tennis? Or am I missing something?
I don't think so.
No, I think it's in recent that they've gone the professional route
But Federer will not be involved. This was a little bit of history. We always hear about the first time this happened, the first time that happened. Not often, though, you hear that with Orthodox Jewish athletes. So I thought this was interesting to mention. 17-year-old Jacob Steinmetz made history on Monday. The Arizona Diamondbacks took him in the third round of the MLB draft. He was number 77 overall, the first player known, at least, ever to be drafted who is an Orthodox Jew, who practices Orthodox Judaism. So he is the first ever 6'6" Long Island native. He is kosher. He observes the Sabbath and all of that. So during the sunset on Friday to sunset on Saturday during Sabbath, when he's observing that, he can only walk. You can't do the whole transportation thing. Can't be on a car, bus, train, plane. So that might be a little bit of a problem in Major League Baseball, but maybe they'll have a homestand or something when he eventually gets there, if he ever gets there. But just interesting because wouldn't have never thought of that. And so, first Orthodox Jewish baseball player drafted, or at least known in baseball history.
That's cool. Update, by the way, on that Olympic tennis. They did not compete for any medals from 1928 to 1984.
Oh, there you go.
So it's not like recent started back up in 1988, but it was a 60-year drought of no tennis in the Olympic Games.
By the way, one note on Khabib, because they were trying to set up the big, massive pull George St. Pierre back out of retirement again and have him fight Khabib coming out of retirement, and Khabib's like, no, let's just be legends. And not even going to fool with it. That guy, I do appreciate his just no-nonsense approach to pretty much everything. With the changing of name, image, likeness, this has led to a lot of people who have been punished for breaking the rules as they were rules back then, to now calling for people to change those rules as though they were in place when these people got punished for them. The example I'll give you here is Ohio State, the Tattoo 5. Remember a few years back, Terrell Pryor and 4 of his teammates under then head coach Jim Tressel got free tattoos. They were impermissible benefits, but because they were Ohio State football players, they got free tattoo work, which can range in the hundreds of dollars. And so they just gave memorabilia as their payment, so jerseys and whatnot. Of course, Ohio State actually got in trouble for that, had to vacate some victories, had some NCAA sanctions, but Pryor and the 4 players who were involved have come out. DeVere Posey was one of them, Solomon Thomas, who's a Texas native, Mike Adam, Daniel Boom Herron. They called for their school records and legacy to be restored so that Buckeye Nation can look at us with the same love and fondness we've always had for them. So these guys were kind of on the outs with Ohio State's fans. Yeah. Much like probably Reggie Bush was to an extent, but, kind of like with Reggie Bush, and I am all for I think the Heisman thing, to strip him of a Heisman, I did not agree with that. But I also don't agree with saying, okay, well, just because it was it's okay now doesn't mean it was okay then. So I don't know. Where do you guys stand on that?
I'm with you. Look, it was against the rules and they knew it. They broke the rule. Was it a rule that didn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people? Yes. But also, here's the deal. That incident got Jim Tressel fired.
Yeah, it did.
That incident got Jim Tressel fired because Jim Tressel very foolishly lied about it. Mm-hmm. Instead of just saying, and I think the two lessons from that are there's a lot of dumb things that happen in college athletics that you shouldn't lie about. And two, nobody's irreplaceable. And I know that team was really good, but just suspend the 5 guys and move on.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim, you're replaceable. We got a guy named Urban Meyer. Hey, Urban, you're replaceable. We got a guy named Ryan Day.
Yeah. At the time, it's made them ineligible. There's no reason to strip their names from the athletic department books. It's just stupid whenever they do that. Any of that to me, I don't care what they've done. I don't care what it is. It's stupid just to say we're retracting them completely as if they did not play.
Yeah. If I ever get the sweet-ass job of NCAA president, which I think I can handle, honestly. But my first order of business is like, listen, any records that have been vacated, I'm putting them back.
Yeah.
They're like, we're putting the records back. It's stupid. That's not vacated. That's how it is. Just deal with it.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see if that gains any traction or not. But certainly Terrell Pryor and the Buckeye Five, as they're being called, are going to try and get their stuff back, so to speak, their stats and whatnot. And finally, the biggest news: Major League Baseball, 7-inning doubleheaders and extra innings where you start with a man on second base could be going to the wayside after this year. Rob Manfred told the Baseball Writers Association of America today that he sees them as being innovations specific to the coronavirus pandemic. Of course, they were first adopted last year during the shortened season, and he said that those were implemented based on medical advice and are not being contemplated as permanent. And while the health situation has been improved, changes could not be made mid-season, even though a lot of people are now vaccinated. So we'll have the runner starting on second base for the rest of this year, and we'll have the 7-inning doubleheaders for the rest of this year. But it sounds like after this year, baseball is going to go back to somewhat normal.
I mean, I understand change. I understand rules that change, but that just turned it into
for the shortened season,
City League softball.
For the 50-game season, it made a tremendous amount of sense because
City League softball doesn't do that.
Yeah. But I think that the runner on second, that's what they got the rule from. Yeah. But it made sense for a 50-game season. It made sense maybe to have it in the barrel in case this season wasn't under control, but I think that now it's just got to be over.
When we come back, David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com. Cowboys open up training camp. They actually arrive, I think, a week from today, start on the 21st in Oxnard, California. John McClain and new track and field head coach at Baylor, Michael Ford, in between those two. Paul's Top 5 at 5:55, and this is SicEm365 Radio.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com.
Here is Pollard all the way in for 6.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
A lot of things happening that show that football season is right around the corner. Big 12 Media Days for us the next 2 days in Arlington. And Cowboys training camp in 1 week at Oxnard, California. They fly in and start on the 21st. David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. David, other than clothing, is there something specifically that you must take with you to Oxnard every year?
Other than clothing, not really, to be honest with you. Like, a nice thing about training camp is there's so much going on that I don't have a lot of time to do anything else. I guess maybe I usually try to bring a couple books and make myself feel like a smart, well-read person in my downtime, but other than that, not a whole lot, to be honest with you.
Do you sneak in one that might be like, oh, look, Great Expectations? I don't know how that got in here.
I mean, how many times have I brought a book that I never got close to finishing? Like every year, every single year. I'm like, this will finally be when I polish off some Dostoevsky, and it has not happened yet. Has not happened yet.
Are you a little surprised at I know that this was coming, but the way the training camp schedule now falls after all this is there's far less going on there than there ever has been.
I was literally joking with my boss last week that I feel like I'm going to feel guilty about what I'm not doing. Because, I mean, you guys have been out there before. The schedule that we kept under Jason Garrett pretty much had you going, from 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night Pacific time. And by the time you get off work, you maybe eat some dinner and, like I said, read a book before you pass out and do it all over again. But this year with these, 11 a.m. practices and, closing the walkthroughs in the afternoon, not to mention the limited access from COVID. Yeah, I feel like, starting around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there's not going to be a whole lot going on, which is just the polar opposite of what I'm used to. So I'm sure I can find ways to stay busy, but I definitely feel like it's going to be weird.
Does that keep you from being able to even get more insight because of how they're going to have the schedule this year?
I honestly, I don't even know what to expect. I'm really just mainly I'm just grateful that I'm going. Obviously, that's not going to be the case for a lot of people. The number of people that are going to be allowed there at all is way down from a normal year. Members of our staff that usually go aren't going to be allowed. So I'm really just happy to be there. But yeah, I mean, as far as like, I have no idea what to expect in terms of like how much access we'll have to the team, how much I'll see of the guys. Because I mean, in a normal training camp, it's pretty common to just bump into people walking to get food or working out in the morning. Maybe you'll share the gym with a coach or, run into a player on your way to get coffee. There's all sorts of ways that you can kind of manufacture access. And yeah, I don't know how much of that we'll have this year, but I'm definitely not going to complain given that I get to be one of the few people that does get to go.
David, do you find it weird that a good chunk of the football world is sleeping on Ezekiel Elliott right now?
Are they? Is that? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if sleeping is the way I would categorize that. I mean, I think Zeke is probably a better player than a lot of people want to give him credit for. But, what you did last year speaks for itself. Like the old Bill Parcells thing, your record is, it is what it says. Zeke Elliott led the league in fumbles among non-quarterbacks and struggled to be explosive last year. And I know that he didn't have a lot of help. I also know that he's on a $90 million contract. So I think that just kind of goes with the territory. You get that kind of money, you deserve all the criticism that comes with it, fair or unfair. And in my opinion, a lot of it's fair in Zeke's case. That doesn't mean that he can't bounce back this year. And I think that he will. But I don't think people are sleeping on him. I think people are going off of what they've seen the last year or two, and I think it's pretty valid criticism.
David, we talked about Hard Knocks last week, and they'll obviously spend a great deal of time on, Dak and kind of the obvious things. Who might not be an obvious choice that you think could be someone that fans really enjoy seeing, or a storyline perhaps during Hard Knocks?
I mean, for my money, I think Micah Parsons is probably going to steal this show in terms of, obviously there's already a lot of interest in the guy. He's a 12th overall pick. He's arguably the best defender in the draft. A lot of people expecting him to come in and not only boost the talent, but kind of turn around the culture of this defense. And from the little I know of Micah already, I think he's got the personality for it. I think, he's an engaging guy. He's a charming guy. He's not going to shy away from the spotlight or the TV cameras. And, if he doesn't have a few really good, like, one-liners over the course of this, 5 weeks or however many episodes, I'll be surprised. So he's already, I guess he's already kind of a household name among Cowboy fans because he's the first-round pick, but I bet it'll be even more so by the time training camp's over.
Is there somebody like a younger player? And one of the names I think of is CeeDee Lamb, who everyone expects to just continue to be explosive. But is there a younger player who last year was productive, whatever side of the ball, that you're worried about whether they can follow that up?
I think we've talked about this before, but I wonder, and I'm not trying to doubt the guy. I think Tyler Biadasz has a bright future. I thought he played well when he was given his chances last year. Obviously, he won the Remington Trophy, which goes to the best center in college football. He's clearly a talented guy. I do think it's curious. The Cowboys seem to kind of have handed the keys to him. Joe Looney hasn't been signed anywhere, let alone in Dallas. And really the only other guys competing for that center job have never played it in the NFL. Connor McGovern played a year of center at Penn State, and Matt Farniok, the 7th-round draft pick out of Nebraska, he's played a little bit of center, but Tyler Biadasz is the only guy on this roster that has played center in the NFL, and even that was only for 4 games last year. So I think that's curious that, the Cowboys kind of seem content that he's just their starter, whereas typically this is the time of year where you try to foster competition and bring out the best in guys. Like I said, doesn't mean Tyler Biadasz isn't a good player, but I do think that's interesting that they seem good with him just being their day one option.
David, good luck, enjoy, and we hope to see you sometime that first week in August. I'm not sure when, but we're hoping to get out there for at least a small time once the calendar moves into August. Thanks for your time. Good luck, and we'll hopefully be able to keep talking to you throughout training camp. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, y'all.
David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com. When we come back, Baylor track and field coach Michael Ford and the possibility of a pretty special guest maybe sometime right after that involving Baylor athletics. This is SicEm365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodward, Hewitt, China Spring, Mart, and Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person or use their online and mobile apps and convenient drive-through and ATMs at all locations. They've got products like the First Free Checking, and when we say free, we mean free. No minimum monthly balance, no monthly service charge, unlimited check writing, and unlimited debit card purchases. The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home.
Alan Samuels is celebrating Jeep Freedom Days. It's an exciting time for the Jeep Cherokee and the new Grand Cherokee. Built tough as nails and able to stand up to any challenging off-road trails or city roads, travel with the innovative technology to meet your lifestyle. Jeep, a great SUV. Alan Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer, the best place to get your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340 or visit them online at AlanSamuelsDCJ.com. Alan Samuels is your friend in the car business.
Come by. Let's be friends.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Do it today by searching Sic'em365 on YouTube.
Well, right in the middle of our conversation, our weekly conversation with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, the news comes down. Michael Ford, the new track and field head coach at Baylor, after 20 years with Baylor, with all the memories and all the numbers and everything else. And Michael, what does this mean to you today?
Oh man, it's a great honor. I want to thank Mack, Rhoades, and Marcus Sedberry and Don Rogers and the search committee for everything and believing in me to be the next head coach at Baylor. Just to follow Coach Hard and Coach Harbor, it's a huge honor for me.
So after 20 years and all the people you've worked with, is this something that you've always worked towards, or was it something you were thinking about? And then, but you're working for Coach Harbor and you didn't know when he was going to retire.
Yeah, I think when Coach Hart brought me back in 2001, I think that was one of my goals was to. I know I can't be an assistant coach forever, or I could be an assistant coach forever, but if I wanted to leave a legacy behind, besides being an assistant coach, a head coach is going to be the next thing for me. And one of my big goals was to bring a national championship to Baylor Nation as a team, and not just on the individual side.
How much thought have you already, just over the years, said, hey, if I'm ever in charge of a program, I think I'll do it this way, or maybe I will do it that way? How much of that thought kind of goes on just, naturally, and then, when you do get the opportunity, all those thoughts kind of come flooding back?
Yeah, they actually started back when I first got hired.
Yeah.
So just the small things to, I look at what Coach Hart did over his 50 years of coaching at Baylor, to Coach Harbor trying to make it more of a balanced team. And then now for me is just trying to make it be a balanced team. And hold on just a quick second. Me being more balanced team and put my niche on it. So I've always thought that, how can we win a national championship at a private school?
Michael, I've seen Jeremy Warner, who sent me a text. I've seen Will London III. Trayvon Bromel's going to join us right after we're done with your segment. He's thrilled. I saw him, and I'm sure there are many others that have blown up your phone. What does all that mean to you?
Oh, man, it's just been a huge blessing. I think that just being able to, I really can't say it in words. I think all the support that I've had in this process, and the text messaging and the calls, the encouragement, and it's been huge for me. So I've been very blessed I got a chance to talk to Trey a little bit this morning. I know he's overseas, so we chatted back and forth a little bit today, and Will London gave me a call today. It's just an honor to hear from them, and so I'm just honored at that.
You talked about how you were waiting for this moment. Was there ever a doubt it would come?
Well, the recruiting, the hiring process was very, very long. I think that Mack Rhoades and Marcus Sedberry in the committee did I'd say an awesome job they wanted the best fit for Baylor and for our student athletes. And I think it probably took them a little longer than they thought it was going to take. And so for me, it was just waiting and being patient and just trusting God that everything was going to work out.
You mentioned a private school winning a track championship, a national championship. Obviously, that's a harder thing to do because the state schools can do a lot more. What do you think the biggest step in that direction that you'd have to take to get on the footing with those state schools that can do a lot of things with the scholarships more than a private school can?
Well, I think you look at it two different ways. I think you look at it on the scholarships. Of course, the scholarships, the money is a little different as the private schools compared to the public schools. But I think the biggest thing that I see is the conference meet is the one that I think the dollars, you can stretch the dollars out a little bit more at the public schools. But I think at the national level, it's about quality, your quality athletes compared to the quality of your athletes. So I think us getting good quality, high character, high caliber kids into the program to help us win nationals. That's going to be a big key for us in the next 2 years. And then also making sure that we still do well at the conference meet. And we won in 2017. So I think that formula, how we did it in 17, we'll have to carry it over a little bit more in the next few years.
Michael, how did track enter your life and then subsequently become such a big part of your life?
Well, honestly, I hated track and field when I was younger. I just didn't like the heat. But my former club coach, Cedric Walker, who passed away a few years ago, he really got me involved in track. And I ran for him probably when I was 14 years old, and he just ingrained in me about hard work. One thing about track and field, unlike the other team sports, is it's an individual sport. So you got to put in the work for it. And so for me, it was like, hey, if I can do individually, then I'm going to be great at it. And I think for him, he surrounded me with some great mentors that even at that young age, just like Bev Kearney that was at Texas, and Coach Holloway at Florida, Coach Hart. I mean, I met Coach Hart when I was 15 years old. So just being around those people and saying, you know what, I can have a lifetime in this sport. And then I think just the relationships I've built with the student athletes over the last 20 years or so, it's been helping me big time.
Michael, I know your phone, and you got a lot of people want to talk with you. With Will London in Tokyo soon, obviously Trayvon's about to be on the show to talk about your hire and also his comeback and where he is right now at the elite level. What are your thoughts about those two?
Very proud of Will London. I get to see Will London work out every day. I've known Will since he was about 8 years old. So our relationship has been like an older brother, or pretty much like an older brother for Will. And so I was so happy because he's been on world championship teams, the last two world championship teams. So to make the Olympic team was a huge honor, considering last year was a year that should have been an Olympic team and nothing happened. So I was glad that he was able to make it this year. And then Trayvon, I mean, what can you say? I mean, having about 3 years, almost 4 years of injuries and coming back, and just a strong testament of his will, his faith, and his dedication to get back to where he was before he got hurt.
Michael, congratulations. The response has been overwhelming on SicEm365, on obviously social media and others as well. Thanks for your time. Congratulations. Enjoy the moment.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for everything, and I got to get some work done now.
Good luck at all those texts.
Yeah, the standard is there, and you're trying to get to that and past that. Good luck with it, man. Thanks a lot, Michael. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all for the support. Thank you, guys.
Michael Ford, the new head coach of Baylor Track and Field. Clyde Hart, Todd Harbert. I mean, you're talking about a run that's been there for a long, long time. I thought all the names, and it doesn't have to be just those who were a part of the U.S. Olympic team or gold medalist or whatever. You know what others have thought as well. Darrell Williamson, among others, and what they think. And we're about to hear from the 100-meter champion, the U.S. Olympic trials in Eugene, Oregon, and former Baylor great Trayvon Bromell, who is it's very late at night. And Trayvon reached out to me, direct message on Twitter. And, man, this is a great, great thing. We've had a couple of comments from his press conferences the last week with Gatorade and others. Trayvon, thanks for your time. I know it's late. Thanks for your time. Congratulations. How do you feel right now, man?
Oh, no, I feel good, man. I'm blessed to be back running.
What has it been like? What has this been like for you to get back to the elite level after all you've been through?
It's just a testimony, just trying to represent something bigger than myself.
Will you remember the moment that you first felt like yourself again, when you felt completely healthy and you went, oh, there he is?
Oh, well, like I tell people, it's a transformation phase. That Trayvon back in 2016, he's long gone. It's a new and evolved and more mature Trayvon Bromell. So I'm just happy to be in this skin.
Trayvon, I think I'm asking an obvious question here, but how important has your faith been throughout your journey to get to where you are now?
Faith is always important. It's my source of energy and my stronghold. That's key to my existence.
You know, we played a feature with you and Raven Saunders from Gatorade about a lot of things that you've dealt with and things that you've been through and all that. Where did that come from for you to keep from being any kind of a statistic or getting lost in the shuffle? Where did that come from?
Just my day-to-day drive. Just wanted to be better, really.
You just heard, and you may have seen this, Michael Ford, who just joined us a second ago, is now the new track and field coach at Baylor. He's been around for a long time. Your thoughts about the selection of Michael Ford?
Man, I'm so very proud of this choice. He's a hardworking man. He's like, as everyone knows, he was more than just a coach to me. He's more than just a coach to me. He was a father figure to me. He definitely helped me with much in my life. So to see him blessed with this opportunity, it's so humbling. It's so amazing. I'm happy for him, and I know that he's going to bring something different to Baylor for track and field. I commend all those who came before him, and I'm just ready to see what he does. A while back when the decision was coming up, I meant everything. Like he gets this baton. I know he's going to do something great as a head coach. I'm just happy to be able to be close to him, to also feel like I'm a part of this, because like it's something that he well deserved. Like he works hard day in and day out. He put forth effort to have this strong relationship with his athletes to make sure they reach their best ability. And I feel like he has all the characteristics and attributes to be a great head coach.
What's it like right now as you're waiting for the Olympics? Are you getting antsy? Are you getting excited? I mean, you've got still, 10, 11 days or so before you've got to start, and then whenever your events happen to be, but are you getting pretty antsy?
I don't like, people who know me know, like, I'm not the excited type person. What I do is for a purpose. I'm just happy to be be a vessel to be able to fulfill that.
Did you just run earlier today?
Yes.
Yeah, so British Grand Prix in Gateshead, and you ran in that. So how'd that race go? It looked like it went pretty well based on what I'm reading here.
Oh, yeah. Everything was smooth. It was preparation. Like I've been telling everyone, these 2 meets is just trying to get my legs moving after trials and just get ready for Tokyo.
Well, yeah, you had the U.S. Olympic trials, and then you had Monaco, and then today, the one Craig just brought up as well. When do you taper off? Do you do that? Because Clyde Hart, we had him on last week, and he's not a big believer, as you know, in ramping up. You just stay where you are. What's the schedule now for you?
I just train. That's the main focus.
Trayvon, what is it like you've done it before, to be an Olympian, a U.S. Olympic player, sprinter, athlete, to represent this country?
It's a great honor. I can represent, like I said, something bigger than myself, but I'm bringing something different to the sport in this Olympics. So, like I said, I just can't wait to deliver this message.
3 Baylor athletes are in the Olympic Games. Casey Lightfoot, pole vaulter, Will London III, obviously, as well, and yourself. What does that mean?
We're just ready to go there and represent. Our main focus is to go out there and run and compete to our best ability.
Trayvon, I got to tell everybody, what time is it where you are right now?
It's 11:31.
11:31 p.m., and you reached out to me. I can't thank you enough. We appreciate you, what you represent, and good luck. God bless you, and thanks for your time.
For sure. Thank you.
Trayvon Bromell, U.S. Olympic trials champion, the 100 meters. How about that, huh? Man, and that's a star right there. And I wish I would have remembered, Paul, to bring up the day he committed when he was a kid from Florida. Yeah. We had him on the show.
Yeah.
He was just a very positive. He wasn't cocky, but he knew what he could do when he broke the 10 flat as a high school kid. First one ever.
By the way, the biggest news of this is that Smokey learned that there's an app called WhatsApp.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Not the WhatsApp app, the WhatsApp.
I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell right there from just listening to him. He's pretty no nonsense. He's locked in, and I'm sure he's tired of answering questions at this point, and kind of saying the same thing. But clearly, you asked him about Michael Ford, and his whole demeanor change. But, yeah, I'd imagine he just ran earlier today, won that race, and, building up for the Olympics. So we'll see how he does. But it might be the last time we talk to him. He goes off and wins some gold. You're really going to have a hard time trying to get a hold of a 100-meter Olympic gold medal champion. But, hey, he's out there representing, like you said. Don't forget Brittany Griner's also over at the Olympics. There's actually 4 Baylor athletes, but 3 in track and field. So pretty good. And, obviously a rave review for Michael Ford.
So as I have the screen, we're here on the set, the console. We'll have John McClain in the next segment. I'm on the set. And we're in the middle of the Mack Rhoades interview. And I didn't have my email up, but I saw the announcement of Michael Ford as we're winding down Mack Rhoades and able to kind of gather that and get his comments. And then I just happened to have a couple of direct messages on Twitter, and one of them is from Trayvon. I've been trying to get in touch with him for quite some time. He's kind of busy. So that was awesome to get him on the same day and have him comment on Michael Ford as well. So how about that, adding them both to the 5 o'clock hour. Coming up next, John McClain, Houston Chronicle, and then Paul's Top 5. This is SicEm365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, heavy-duty building supplies, equipment, whatever you need, pipe and steel, metal, and much more. And they'll deliver it, unload it for you wherever it might be, whether it's a commercial site or even if it's at your ranch or home, wherever it might be. Since 1943. 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe opened. Locations in Bryan and Waco. New location being built. The facility, it's going to be unbelievable, at Loop 340 and 12th Street. Pioneer Boys has 2 things. To me, every business, if you have these 2 and you do them right, then what the heck? One is great product, but that's not the first most important thing. It's customer service. Everybody says it. Not everybody does it. Pioneer Steel and Pipe has been doing that since 1943. You cannot stay in business no matter how good the customer service is or how great the product is without both being there. And they have both, and they've had both since 1943. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, heavy-duty building supplies and equipment, pioneerboys.com. Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house-cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
All right, here we go. SicEm365 Radio. John McClain, Hall of Fame writer, columnist, Houston Chronicle, Waco Trib alum. John, I'm not sure if you saw the news, heard the news. We just had Michael Ford and then Trayvon Bromell. Michael Ford has been named the new head track coach at Baylor.
Wow, it's great. I didn't hear it. I'm driving across country in a Penske truck by myself, listening to 60s music, so I missed it.
What are you driving?
I'm driving a truck from Houston to our place we have a cottage on the Chesapeake Bay that we've redone. And
wow.
It was in my wife's family. And so she's up here with the furniture, and I've got 50 boxes she packed and said, drive it up here. So I said, okay.
There you go.
Yes, dear. That's my 2 words I use the most. Yes, dear.
All right, so training camps are right around the corner. Did anything change for you from year to year when it comes to this?
Truthfully, David, every year when training camp starts, I get fired up. I dread it because it means the off season's over.
Yep.
I took a week off where I didn't do squat for the first time in I can't remember years, and so now even though the Texans are going to be terrible, maybe the worst team in the league, because they have 50 new players, 42 veterans, I'm eager to see how that all plays out. So I get excited every year about the start of camp, then I get excited about the start of season, and the next time I get excited is the playoffs, but I won't be getting excited about the playoffs this season.
John, has anything new happened to the Texans that would give anybody any optimism, or do Texans fans have to just hope for the worst right now? Do they have to hope for a Rockets type season?
You can't get if it's hopeless, you don't get your hopes up. But I tell you what, guys, they have so many new players. They have changed the systems on defense with Lovie Smith coming in, going to a 4-3. They have 18 new players in their front 7. And so there's so many veterans, and almost all of them played well at one time or another for other teams, and were either hurt last year or didn't play well last year, but they get another chance.
John,
based on how the Texans, Craig, they'll probably screw it up and win 4 or 5 games if Sauce's first pick and the quarterback pick.
John, if you talked a lot about, there's no J.J. Watt, there's no Deshaun Watson right now. DeAndre Hopkins is out the door as of over a year ago. If the Texans, and I know it's the Cowboys this year, but if the Texans were on hard knocks, who do you think would be the focus?
Well, first of all, that would never happen.
Right.
So that's a moot point. But if 31 other teams became ill and had to cancel training camp, and there was only one left, I think that it's just like it was with the Chargers last year. They made a big deal out of Rod Taylor. He was starter. He was starter over Justin Herbert, their number 1 pick. So I'm guessing it would be Rod Taylor. They have some other guys back. Laramie Tunsil. ESPN just did an annual thing with 50 executives. They do the top 10 players at each position. The Texans only have 1 player in the top 10. That's their left tackle, Laramie Tunsil. But his personality is not the type that would go over. Justin Reed, their safety, would be tremendous. Terod Taylor's a good talker. I think he wouldn't. Brandon Cooks, their wide receiver, coming off a great season. He'd be another one that would be good to focus on.
In the NFL, you never know. There's that parity. There's the way things are. Teams that don't make the playoffs, 4 or more, it seemed the next year they do. Would it be a miracle if this is a Texans team that even flirts with being a part of that later in the year?
Yeah, call me when you wake up, will you?
All right.
And there's no way. If the Texans win, say they win 6 or 7 games, David Culley should be coach of the year. Lovie Smith should be assistant coach of the year. And Nick Caserio should be executive of the year. And they're not going to be, because they're not going to be very good. I could see them. Last year, they played the toughest schedule I've ever seen. And they lost 9 games by 1 score. And this year, the schedule is not as tough, so they could fool around and win 5 or 6 games. But if Rod Taylor gets hurt, and they've got Jeff Driscoll as the backup, the veteran replacement of Davis Mills, who didn't play much at Stanford, they may not win another game.
John, Alex Gibbs passed away, I guess it was yesterday, at age 80. He was a key part of the Broncos championships. I know he was with the Texans for a while, really pioneered the zone blocking scheme. What are your memories of Alex Gibbs?
A guy who liked to push the rules. In OTA, he broke the rules, and a player taped it. And they sent it, and they gave it to ESPN, and ESPN had a special report on Outside the Lines about it. And Gibbs was at the forefront. He's old school, tough guy, but man, he was a really, really good coach who won 2 Super Bowls with the Broncos.
John, so what everybody actually is talking about, I would imagine, the city of Houston right now, how about the Astros?
Well, they lost 2 or 3 to the Yankees, but they had that great comeback, down 6 runs, without Tuesday hitting a 3-run walk-off and his teammates tearing off his jersey. I wish they played the Yankees some more, but they don't unless they play in the playoffs, and I'm hoping like crazy they'll play in the playoffs because this rivalry has been taken to another level.
Yeah, and they rip off his jersey, his undershirt, and whatever else because there is no whatever, Paul, the little
buzzer,
beeper, the buzzer, whatever else.
Yeah, let me tell you something about this buzzer. A guy came out and admitted he made it up, used a fake thing for Colin Beltran's sister and put that out there and deleted it. Of course, the toothpaste is out of the tube. It can't go back in, and even though this guy has written about it, and a lot of publications have written about it, and also it was proved that Altuve did not want the trash can being banged, and those are baseball writers. Those are not Astros fans, but people still don't pay attention to it. And last night their mascot Orbit got booed at Home Run Derby. I was looking forward to seeing how bad the Astros got booed there. It can't be any worse than what they faced with the Yankees this year at Yankee Stadium, where it was all expletives.
John, in as far as the Texans, we've discussed some of the stories that would be there if it was Hard Knocks or not. Is there one in particular, a player that you think is maybe overlooked, even though they might not be good at all? Somebody that you think might be kind of the story early on for them?
I'll give you one on each side of the ball. Jordan Akins, who's a good player in last year's contract, and then Justin Reed, the safety, going in the last year of his contract. And if he plays more consistently than last year, he could be in a Pro Bowl. But those are two guys to keep an eye on if you're bored and you watch the Texans.
All right, man. Good luck. Be careful. Drive safely.
Thank you, guys. Sic'em.
That's John McClain, Houston Chronicle, on Tuesdays at around 5:30 or so every single week, for the most part, throughout the year. And if something pops, he's obviously available as well. Break here, Paul. Come back with your deal. Well, good. Okay, good.
We'll stay here for a minute.
Couple of more things to get to. Anything else that's popular? Obviously, to kind of recap a little bit, Michael Ford, the new track and field coach at Baylor, 20-plus years. Jeremy Warner, Trayvon Bromell, Will London III, and I'm sure dozens of others on social media, and even Trayvon on the show discussing what that means to them. And some of them feel like they've been a part of this as far as Michael Ford. And then Mack Rhoades discussed it as well. But they didn't just give him the job. That they, a lot of times it's just, and doesn't mean he couldn't have been just given the job. But they made it, and they went through a search. And then he, in the end, is the right one, and he's the one that they hire as the new head coach.
I think the best thing about going in-house here for Baylor Track is that it's never been bad. Like, it's always been consistently good, and it's only, Coach Hart did one thing with it. Like he said, Coach Hart did one thing with it. Coach Harbour grew it out, and now it's his job to grow it out from there. So keeping it in-house, to me, is really smart. I mean, you don't need to shake up the world with Baylor Track. They're consistently good, but I looked. I think it's 4 private schools all time have won a national championship, and 2 of those were shared. It's been since 1983, Stanford maybe in the early 2000s.
Butch used to always talk about how they were always known for what they did in the 400 meters,
Mm-hmm.
right? But as far as when it came to the team standings, that it was something where they fell short.
Well,
now, they
it's
started...
they can't. I mean,
you're right.
If you look at Arkansas is the most legendary track program in the history of college track. They've won like 20 track national titles. They run 11 or so in a row, maybe even more than that. But they're unbelievable. They're a state school. A&M, Florida State, A&M, Florida. Like the last 10 years is like the same 3 teams running the 3 in a row. So it's just how it is.
It's kind of like what happened this year with that Directors Cup.
Mm-hmm.
The reason Stanford didn't win it was because, one, Texas had a hell of a year, but they started to now prioritize certain sports because otherwise they just have more, even though Texas has a lot of sports that others in the Big 12 don't have. And that led to them. They had a hell of a year, despite both men's basketball and football not being very successful in their terms or anyone's terms. But you're right about that. It's good for them. Good for them. I think that's great that Michael, you could feel it in his voice. I love the way that a lot of guys reacted to him immediately as well. Hey, by the way, tomorrow, Rob Bolton, we'll be live at Big 12 Media Days, but we'll have other interviews, including Rob Bolton, our Cottonwood Creek Golf Course British Open, the Open Championship coverage. That'll be tomorrow at 3:45.
And once again, Armstrong will miss, and Hayden will have to draft for him.
Oh, Lord.
And Hayden did very well last time, so...
Armstrong, come on here for a second. You get the microphone. We're gonna not see you for a few days, huh? Oh, you got to turn. Okay, I just threw a curveball. I'm pretty good at, unfortunately, the late breaking curveballs at the genius.
You are.
All right. Hey, we love you, man.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I can't wait for you to have superpowers.
That would be awesome. I would love some superpowers.
If you could have one specific superpower.
Fly.
Yeah. What about you? To be able to fly.
Time travel.
Time travel. Backwards?
Well, anywhere. Like the Flash, he can go backwards and forwards and affect the timeline.
Then I could essentially be anywhere I want right now. All I have to do is just go back in time 2 hours, travel there hours it takes, and then I'm there. But is just being anywhere when you want at any time a superpower? What would you call that?
Teleportation?
Yeah. Teleportation.
So, like, if you wanted,
I don't know, actually.
If you wanted to be in Italy,
I'm thinking way too hard about this.
Yeah. No, it's a reasonable thing. I mean,
we're putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like I wouldn't want, like, Spider-Man's fun to watch and all, but his superpowers to me would be more of a burden than anything.
Why?
I guess maybe he'd crawl up walls.
What's he swinging if there's nothing to swing off of?
Yeah, I mean, like, again, like what's
just run it.
Run it. I mean, like,
you
you know,
be in buildings everywhere.
give me Superman, the Flash, somebody like give me those powers that I can do something with.
Maybe I just want Captain America's superpowers. Just be super jacked and
Would
fast.
you want to be able to read the future?
Read the future?
Like know the
No.
future? I wouldn't either.
No.
I'd much rather travel to the past.
Oh, because what if the future stinks and then you sit
No,
there and dwell
yeah,
on it
or
for
maybe-
every moment
I
of your
don't
life?
want to know.
Yeah.
I'm scared of what the world's going to be like in 100 years. That's scary.
Shoot, try 2. I mean, the way
2
we're
years,
heading
yeah.
right now.
Like in 2 weeks.
Hey, one of the times we were at Cowboys training camp. I had like a day off. I was watching the History Channel, and the thing that was on the History Channel was Life After Humans. And I watched 15 minutes. I'm like, what do I care? I'm not going to be here.
Yeah, we're not going to be here. Great,
like,
enjoy it.
I'm like 15 minutes and be like, so?
Guess what? This TV show won't be on the air either. So
don't care.
Have fun.
Yeah, I was listening to Elon Musk's interview, and he was talking about, well, we're doing this so that hopefully in like 3,000 years humans can travel to, and I'm like, what do you care? You're not going to be here. What do you care if humans travel to another galaxy in 3,000? Like, what does that matter?
Yeah. All right. We love you, man. Good luck. Appreciate you
thank
so
you.
much. Tomorrow we'll be live in Arlington, AT&T Stadium. Big 12 Media Days Wednesday and Thursday, and bring you as much coverage from coaches and players from Big 12 teams along with other coverage we have.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club. Go to slapstickscomedy.com and get your tickets. Open now. We had opening weekend last weekend. Had 3 great days of shows. Great comics, great improv, great stuff. It was a blast, and they'll do it all again this week at Slapsticks Comedy Club. Find out at slapstickscomedy.com. All right, top 5 Big 12 burning questions. These questions are burning, guys.
Like
they're burning.
Fiery hot.
Like fiery hot
blister
questions.
your fingers. Okay.
This is an adjective that Jack chose. So, all right. Number 5. Who can win the league that we're not talking about?
Well, that's kind of what I asked earlier.
I was a little upset that you did, but it was a long time ago.
No, it was a teasing.
Yeah. Like, can TCU do it? I mean, can West Virginia do it? Are there things that we don't know about these teams that can pop up and surprise people? Because right now, I think it's, in most people's minds, a 2 to 3 team race between Oklahoma, Iowa State, and maybe Oklahoma State. And I'll get to Oklahoma State in a second. But is there somebody that we're just completely ignoring that could do this thing?
Who's being ignored? That's kind of...
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm kind of repeating myself, but, again, go back to the beginning of the show. Iowa State, Oklahoma, we're talking about a ton, but Oklahoma State, I think, could win it. West Virginia, I think, could be interesting. I mean, there's several teams that I think could make this interesting.
All right. Number 4, as I said, I'll get to Oklahoma State here in a second. Can Spencer Sanders be steady?
Sanders?
Yeah. Can Spencer Sanders be steady? That's a hard thing to say.
Well, he's a year older.
But he can clearly do some amazing things when he gets going. He's very
so can
talented.
Max Duggan, right?
Yeah, and that's sometimes you got to just wait on these, Smokey. The top 5 for a reason. But can Spencer Sanders? Can he just do this? Sometimes let the other guys do it.
No, I think he's a risk taker. I think he's got a little bit of that swashbuckle in him. I don't think you can get better. You can always get more mature. You can protect the ball better through time. But I think that's kind of who he is.
Yeah. All right, number 3, and this is kind of ties into number 5, but did West Virginia get better last year? Did they get really better, or was it a function of the COVID year?
I don't know enough about them. I just don't know. They seem to give me a headache. Like Oklahoma State.
I mean, I think they clearly got better. Neil Brown's going to be a good coach there for however long he is there. They've recruited, it seems like, pretty well for West Virginia. And, again, I'll go back to the question at quarterback from earlier. But outside of that, I mean, running back's back, defense is back. Receivers are back. I mean, they should be a good team, and I wouldn't want to play them in Morgantown this year. I think that's going to be potentially a dangerous place to play, especially with all the fans back. That maybe that home field advantage, whereas it was non-existent last year, maybe matters more than ever now as people kind of get reacclimated to it all.
Yeah. Number 2, has TCU stabilized their quarterback position? Kind of the same question about Max Duggan. Max Duggan doesn't really make ridiculous mistakes like Spencer Sanders does, but he gets in his feelings a little bit, and then the offense stalls. So can he grow up, get out of his feelings? And because when he gets going, he's one of those guys who's, I mean, we saw it in that back and forth overtime game with Baylor, is that he's pesky.
Yeah, and in the game against Texas, when he had to make plays, remember against UT, I think like maybe even I don't know about last year, but it was maybe a couple years ago, made huge throws, and his feet, he's very, very good. I like him. I'm not so sure he's not just another level above. He probably is another level above Spencer Sanders.
Yeah, I don't know that I have him above Spencer Sanders. I think Sanders is far more of a future NFL guy probably than Duggan is. Duggan's the dude, though. I mean, like that's the thing, is he is the guy at TCU. There's no question about that. He's a good player. He's annoying if he's not on your team, and yeah, I think he's going to be a big reason why they're probably not a team that you want to have to face off with. So. We'll see with them defensively, but he's got some good weapons around him, and no reason. I mean, I think the TCU O-line will probably be the big question, but no reason outside of that they should struggle too mightily on the offensive side.
All right, number 1, can Oklahoma get to the CFP title game? Can they win that ever-elusive playoff game?
They can. Will they? No, I don't think so. I don't know that they will. I just don't know that they're on the same level as Bama, Clemson, the same schools that we talk about, Ohio State, those three really every single year. But, yeah, I think they can get there, and I think they can win it, but I don't know that I'm ready to bank on that for this year, because I also picked Iowa State to win the Big 12. So that means that Oklahoma would not be going to the playoff most likely. Or, no, they wouldn't be, because they're not in the SEC, where, you can get 2 teams into the playoff with just 4 overall. But – I mean, they're going to be right in the thick of things, and it's going to be a heck of a season to watch for Oklahoma for sure.
Did I just see something pop up on my timeline about Brock Purdy, or I thought I saw something about Brock Purdy. I don't know what it was. I was going to try to bring that into the mix, but I guess I lost it. So, oh well, sorry about that. All right, thanks to a lot of different people. Emma, Hayden, Marquise, also Jack and Armstrong, Paul and Craig, Logan Henderson, Mack Rhoades, David Hellman, John McClain, Trayvon Bromell, and Michael Ford, among others. And tomorrow loaded up with more guests on Sic'em365. Thanks to our great partners and Ashley Hodge and Colt Barber and, yes, Brian Etheridge. They're always making us better every day with what their ideas and what they allow us to do. Our sponsors who make it happen, including Three Nations Beer, who will bring our, of course, coverage to Big 12 Media Day starting tomorrow. Thank you for watching and listening. I'm David Smoak. Good night, Sic'em365 Radio.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.